self-serving, persuasive talkers
of everything and nothing.
We are conversation con artists.
What's going on, people? It's your boy, Mr. On Point.
And I feel like a natural woman.
You should.
Also known as Calamity Red. R.I.P. Aretha.
Unless you was born with a...
I wasn't.
Penis.
I wasn't.
Okay. This is another fantastic episode of Conversation Con Artists. I know the enthusiasm isn't there, but, you know, still.
I'm high, so...
What kind of high?
Legal high.
Like Tony Braxton high?
Nah. A legal high.
So not illegal high?
Not illegal high.
Not Tony Braxton high, not illegal high?
Yes.
Legal high?
Yes. Prescribed medication high.
That's, you know, that's still part of the opioid crisis.
It's not an opioid, though.
What is
it? It's a non-narcotic. It's just...
How are you high off a non-narcotic? That's like somebody saying, I'm high off of this Kool-Aid.
I think I'm almost positive it's a non-narcotic because I don't even have to. It's not like when you go get Loratab. It's when I get my prescription. It's not like that.
So what does non-narcotic mean? That mean that you can't test for it or something?
I guess. I don't know. But I'm almost positive.
I mean, if you can get high off of something that is non-narcotic, then why do people get high off of narcotics?
Well, this is used to treat nerve pain.
Okay.
So, I don't know.
So if somebody be like, you getting on my nerves, I'm finna take my meds for that.
Yeah. It'll get them off your nerves.
I don't know what non-narcotic means.
I don't know either. I don't know. I was looking it up to see what non-narcotic exactly, because I don't think that it means that you can't get high.
Or maybe the government just don't brand it as a drug. Is that what it is?
I guess.
All right. Whatever.
Any class of substances that blunt the senses, such as opium, morphine, belladonna, and alcohol, that when used constantly can cause habituation or addiction, and that are used in medicine to relieve pain, cause sedation, and influence sleep.
So your medication don't blunt the senses?
I wouldn't say that.
Okay, well, maybe it is a narcotic.
It's not unless whatever.
If it make you feel better to say it's a non-narcotic because you high right now, then it's fine.
I really don't think it's because I've had to get Loratab, and like the process for getting that is completely different.
That don't mean nothing. This medication hadn't caught on yet.
People take a little
behind.
forever. It's like a new medication.
But it's not one that's common in the theme of I'm finna get high.
No, it's not, because it isn't. I don't even know that Lyrica ain't something that like people cook up in it. You know what I'm saying? Like you have to get a prescription, I guess, to get it. Who would you buy it from if you was trying to get it on the streets? I don't know.
You.
Who?
You.
Me?
Yeah.
No, not me.
If how many pills come in a subscription? A prescription?
Mine I get 3 months worth at a time, so I don't have to. So I got a big ass bottle.
How many come in that?
I have to take them twice a day. So I don't know.
So if you found out that the pills you taking, some magically street value was $100 a pill, how would your life change? Your silence is the answer that I need.
$100 a pill, nigga. Pay my rent, selling about 8 of them hoes.
I'm just saying. It hadn't caught on, but if it do, you gonna turn into the neighborhood drug dealer.
I don't think I would make a very good drug dealer, and I feel like I would get caught.
But see, no, you wouldn't be a drug dealer. You would just be somebody who helps people in the community with pain through the resources that you have.
Oh my God. That gonna make me feel better.
As good as calling it a non-narcotic
It
make
is
you
a
feel.
non-narcotic. It's called a pregabalin is the name, but it's marketed under the brand Lyrica. It's a medication used to treat epilepsy, neuropathic pain, fibromyalgia, which is what I have, and generalized anxiety disorder. Oh, maybe that's why it make you feel.
Because Xanax is the same. Xanax so it's treat
like
anxiety.
Xanax. It's like taking Xanax. So I'm on a Xanax, basically. Xanax is a non-narcotic, isn't it? So this
I don't
is a
know.
non-narcotic. I think it is.
I know it's a part of the opioid crisis. So if it's a non-narcotic, then Lyrica, you might be finna get paid.
Potentially serious side effects include drug misuse. And it increased suicide risk, but that's with a lot of different medications.
That's Lyrica?
Yeah.
Drug misuse.
When it's taken at high doses over a long period of time, addiction may occur. But if taken at usual doses, the risk of addiction is low.
Well.
So, yeah. I don't know.
I'm just, I'll shop around the community, find out how much, how many people are in pain and can't get a prescription. They could use some assistance from somebody that might have a pill or two to spare.
And mine is like a high milligram. I actually need to talk to my doctor to tell her to lower it because I think it's too high. Because it's like 150 milligrams a pill.
You're losing your marketing value in that.
I'm not trying to be a pain clinic. That's what it would be. Pain clinic.
All right.
I ain't trying to do
well,
that.
listen.
Where can they find you?
You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Mr. MISTER_on point.
And I can be found at red_calamity. Also, we are still doing the listener letter portion of the show. So if you have a question you would like for us to answer, you can send it to our Gmail account, which is conversationconartist@gmail.com. Or you can find us on Facebook, Conversation Card Artists. We do have a letter, but of course we're going to start with the poetry. Is it my turn to go first?
I'm supposed to go first 2 times in a row. This will be number 2.
All right.
I'm honest. Could have just been like, yeah, it's your turn to go.
I would have went.
But honesty.
Good. That's good.
I've been working with the kids on character.
Okay, so you're trying to make sure that your character is in line.
My character's always in line. I'm just saying. My dialogue with the kids is that all of these character traits you have, at any point in time, they can also shift. Because if your character is loyalty, if you're a loyal person, but you betrayed by some people in your life, it will waver somehow. You know what I'm saying? So I'm teaching them about like building a foundation upon which when it wavers, it comes back to. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
For example, you might not see yourself as a drug dealer, but you realize that you can help people in the community by giving them, some medication that you happen to have a little extra of, and it just so happened to be $100 a pop. As long as you know that once that market value is gone, or once it becomes a lyrical crisis, you come back to, doing what you normally do. Foundation.
Not selling my pills.
I'm just saying. But the name of this poem is called One Day He Will See. One day he will see the error of his erroneous ways, trying to interpret how he misplaced your harmonious gaze, attempting to justify why you were no good for him, realizing that you are the embodiment of perfection, leaving only him to blame as he recognizes that he fell victim to his own erection and his weak mind. He lives through his own subjection, and in weak times he cannot control his selfishness. As much as he tries to hide his true side, it's impossible to embellish this. It's in his game to leave you infatuated with the oohs and the eyes, but when he gets just what he wants and grows tired of you comes the news you despise. You just dangle at the end of the hook and the bait looks like trust in his eyes. One day he'll understand the hurt and pain that began his emotional demise, but he won't see it in you because you will have moved on to a man that holds you as prize. Though it's hard to see now, and even more during the times, he made you a better person through his love-related crimes. He showed you that you deserved more than you were likely to believe, and that you were owed more than you were likely to receive. Even though you're not likely to deceive, you thought about inflicting pain on him that he can feel, maybe even see. But the strength you displayed only showcased his inferiority, teaching you that a majority of men are not even prepared to have your elegance as priority. But trust me, his efforts don't deserve any measure of gratitude. The praise goes to you as you recognize the capabilities of your emotional magnitude. One day he will feel the pain that he consciously bestowed amidst his eroding emotions as his soul begins to implode. Just know that he has no destination at the end of his road.
Snap, snap, snap.
That feels long. That felt long as hell.
Mine's long. I didn't even realize. Like, it's like, so going back reading these things sometimes, I'm like, God damn. Like, I'm surprised sometimes that I wrote it. And sometimes I'm surprised at how, I'm like, damn, there's a lot of words.
Now, sometimes I read the poems that I wrote and I be like, who the hell was that? Who wrote that? I mean, not necessarily in a good way.
Yeah, it
because
just depends.
It encapsulates old ways of thinking sometimes that you may have moved different. Like this is like 7-8 years old.
This one is 5 years old. And it's really just it's actually something I don't normally do. It's like a braggadocious kind of thing, which is unusual. Don't know what I was feeling when I wrote it, but it's called Free. And forgive me, it looks long, so I'm pretty sure it's gonna feel long, but we'll see. It's called Free. My dears, this poem is written in the lovely key of free, composed of jumbled words as they pour right out of me. Don't understand? Let me give you a hand. It means I switch up the cadence simply because I can, and then slow it back down as I gather my thoughts. For every word I don't speak can potentially be lost, for my mind runs constantly, busy even as I sleep, from even rhyming in my dreams, prolific words for them to keep. And if still waters run deep, then I'm the calm before the storm, and these words are my shelter, keeping me from any harm. They keep him from harm too. My aggression comes through my pen, with a paper a mere casualty, falling from too much ink shed. But then on the other hand, my purpose is to inspire, for my legacy simply cannot be one that my kids cannot admire. What kids, you say? I'll have them one day. Whenever I meet their father, he'll be the man who unknowingly can make me wonder why before him I even bothered. Not to get all hot and bothered, but you see, he'll be sexy too, with an intellect that can get me, well, let's just say he'll be the one who is everything I've ever wanted and those things I didn't know I needed. And together we will rule our world, just he and our little seeds. My dears, this poem has been written in the lovely key of free, composed of jumbled words as they pour right out of me. Now, you understand how random I am, and I'll write a little nonsensically simply because I can, and then turn around and demand your undivided attention, because as I was writing, I rudely forgot to mention my thankfulness to the man above. Through him, my gift is possible, when without his grace upon my life, my death would be pretty probable. How could I end this randomness? How should this poem conclude? If you don't remember anything else, always remember, well, I guess you'll just have to stay tuned.
Okay. Snap. It wasn't too long.
Felt long. Felt a little long.
That's a part of my poetry that like kind of shifted, like involving God in it. Mm-hmm. That shifted for me.
Mine too. Like, and it's so funny. It's only a couple of poems where I reference him. Then the most of them, because I used to write really angry shit most of the time, so Jesus didn't need to be a part of that. But as my issues or my questions about religion grew, the less I put it in my poetry, because I didn't feel confident in it, so I didn't want to add it, because it didn't, I didn't know where I stood with it. Shit, I still don't know where I stand with it, so it's still not in any like recent poetry I've done. It's still not in it, so meh. Colin sent us, he actually sent 2 emails. One says, guilt by association. It's one thing if someone was associated with Trump or a Republican in 1998, but in 2018, nah, my guy, you're done. Donald Trump is a universal disgrace, which I 100% agree with. And I do feel like you get dirty by association because you with him. Like, I feel like anybody he touch, he fuck him up. And so for me, Yeah, I agree. Guilty by association.
I understand that, but it's still going to be a dilemma in the people that were associating with them before to the transition.
Mm-hmm.
It's a dilemma in that for them.
Yeah.
Just like any of us, like you talking about me.
Mm-hmm.
If I tomorrow shift into something you don't recognize, we connected in a lot of different ways, so it's like that would be a dilemma for you.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? I had an experience with my business partner. He had some kind of psychological situation going on at the time, and the idea was to give him the benefit of the doubt for as long as possible until it was no longer
possible. To give him the benefit of
so
the doubt.
in my dialogue, it wasn't advocating for sticking by your people. It's that some people, in this case Tom Brady, probably didn't have a dilemma because even the way that Donald Trump has changed to don't even impact him none.
No, it doesn't.
And that's one of them white and black America situations. Even the white people that Donald Trump are impacting that ain't or who advocate against Donald Trump, it still really ain't impacting them real bad. They just don't like him.
Yeah.
There are legitimate communities that is impacting. Mm-hmm. But I agree. I agree.
He also sent us the video for Liar from Profile we were talking about last week. And I watched the video. I haven't watched that video in a while. And that video is fucking hilarious. First of all, the fact that he gonna take the dog. He gonna take everything. I want it all. I want the dog too. What was stupid was, did you watch the video?
No.
You didn't? How you didn't watch the video?
Because I saw it in 1997.
Do you remember it though?
No.
Okay. Well, this is what happens. Dude, one of the singers in the group got a girlfriend, okay? Girlfriend drop him off at the airport because I guess he finna fly out somewhere, right? He get her like a roll of money because that's realistic. I ain't never dated nobody that just handed me a roll of money, but maybe I need to, maybe because I don't date drug dealers. I don't really know. But anyway, he gives her a roll of money. He goes down the exit like he finna leave. So she turn around and get in her car. He don't actually fly away. Okay.
All right.
He comes back and follows her. So she gets in the car he gave her and she goes and drives to a store. I don't even know what. Well, a bunch of niggas was hanging outside. Okay. Then one of the dudes come over and kiss her. And this bitch give him the money that the old dude gave her. And at that point, I was already like, wait a minute. Why the fuck are you giving away money to this nigga who look like he broke? Cause who just hanging out on the sidewalk in front of a store? This who you cheating with, really? And she was just real, like, just they painted her in a very bad light. Cause even when she was hugging him to tell him about when she thought he was gonna fly away, her facial expression was just like, this nigga, like, I can't wait for him to go. So she doesn't go straight to the house. I guess she rides around, does something. I'm not really sure. Cause by the time she get back to the house, he done packed all of her shit and put it outside on the sidewalk. And she's confused. She's like, "Why my shit out here?" She go up to the door, and another bitch opened the door holding they dog, and he just come up and give her a one-way plane ticket and like shoos her away. I was confused. Maybe she ain't from there, wherever they was at. He was like, take your ass home. Not really sure where the one-way ticket was supposed to be.
He bought a whole plane ticket for these shenanigans?
Yes.
I would have just printed it on a piece of paper and just, it wasn't no ticket for real. I just went and found a mock ticket online, and
he gave her an actual one-way ticket and all of her stuff. And then the girl, his new girl, was like holding the dog to like make a point that I'm, Fido staying with me. You just take your shit and go. That was confusing. And where the girl come from? Because it's like, okay, so she been cheating. You must have been cheating too. Cause where you get this bitch from? This is in the house now.
Yes,
that you done moved in.
He might have hired somebody. Went to back page because this back went back. It might not even been back page. Went to MySpace.
Yeah, probably went to MySpace. That would have been what that was.
Jumped in some inboxes. You know, checked out some pages that had the floating hearts on it, floating up and down the screen with the music playing when you turn it on, you know, when you click on it.
Oh, I used to hate that shit. MySpace, you get to pick a song that play. People's songs were ridiculous sometimes, but yeah, maybe he did hire somebody. I'm not. The whole thing just didn't.
I'm watching the video right now.
It doesn't make sense. Where are you at? Did you see the nigga on the sidewalk?
Where they dancing with their do-rags on in the projects?
Yes, they do.
Like in public?
Yes, they do.
If somebody see y'all doing this, boy, in 1997,
but it's so funny.
Like it's normal now.
Yes,
it's normal now. Like if you see a group of teenagers on the corner just dancing, normal now. In 1997, problematic.
And can you even call that dancing? Because really, they're just like stomping and like moving their.
all of it's called a dance. And we're like, if they doing it, it's called some kind of dance.
It's
the only dance that ain't really a dance is the dance when your mama call you downstairs and have you dance for company.
Oh God,
that's the thing. That's the only thing that ain't a dance these days.
That little dance she was doing last night. Show them.
Exactly. That's not a dance. That's the you finna get your ass whooped if you don't do it dance.
Oh Jesus. Did you see where she picked the dude or went and kissed the dude and handed him over the money?
I did. That was like $106. It was $100 bill on the outside, but I know that was 6 ones up under that. Listen, y'all go watch the Profile Liar video. It's crazy because they legit went to the airport for this dude to fly off on a flight, and instead he walked back out on the flight like immediately.
Yes.
And then followed her. Yes. And his homeboys came and picked up and he just followed her around the city.
Yes. And the nigga she went to, they were just hanging out on the sidewalk.
Like you knew this was going on. Why the whole charade?
Maybe he was like, maybe his friends had been like, man, that bitch is a hoe. She cheating on you, man. He's like, no, she's not. I'll prove it. So he was like, I'm gonna pretend to fly away. And then y'all come get me and we gonna follow her. Y'all gonna see she just gonna go back to the house and be chilling till I come home.
One of y'all got $106. And y'all know somebody who want to come to the house and hold his dog.
Oh, Jesus. It's a very interesting video. Speaking of dancing, though, I got a quick little story. I'm going to try to record this. I'll try probably tonight. I don't know if I'm going to be able to get it or not.
Video of you dancing? Not
of me dancing. So, you know that first building, like when you first get into my apartment complex, it's actually a halfway house, so a lot of the people that stay there are recovering addicts. But there's a black dude. I don't know if he stays in those units, but he walks around that building at night, and you know, maybe for exercise, I'm not really sure, but he has headphones in. He's dancing hard, like it's so, and it's every night.
Like Usher was dancing in the rain.
Every night that I walk the dogs, every fucking night, and he don't even care if you see him. Like it be people outside, and he still be. I got to record it because you need to see. I can't even do it justice. I can't, and I'm not really sure why. He seemed like something might be off with him, like maybe he on a spectrum or something. I'm not really sure, but like, nigga, it's so funny. Like he be dancing so fucking hard.
So are you?
This prepared? Is like 9:30 at night.
Are you prepared for him to see you dancing? See him being recorded? Wait a minute.
Well, I gotta try to do it in a way.
Are you prepared for him to see you recording him dancing and get aggressive?
Well, that's why I haven't recorded him. I need to do it. I gotta figure out a way to do, because I'm out there with the dog, so like it's not like I'm just out there and would be doing this.
I'm gonna tell you how to do it. Tell you how to do it. All right. I don't know if you have this, but if you have a shirt or a jacket with a top pocket where your phone will stick out, you put the phone in that pocket and just walk normally with your phone, stand across the street from him, like, you know, and then he'll never know. Yeah. He'll just think your phone in your top pocket.
Yeah. I got it. You have to see. It's so fucking fun. And it's every night. If it's not raining, he is out there walking around that building 9:30 at night, dancing his ass off. I'm talking about like hardcore, like
you got served.
Yes, exactly. Yep. Pop locking. I'm talking about like the
battle
whole
dancing
fucking
with
thing.
himself.
Yes.
He probably got like an imaginary dance partner.
Something is a little off with. He ain't never been crazy. He ain't never got out the way. And I literally, he sees us because I just don't go down to that first building now that I know he be walking around. He just walks around that building or dances around that damn building for like, I don't even know how long he be out there before he go inside. I just know when I don't even know how long he's been out there by the time I get out there. I walked the dogs for the last time about 9:30 at night. And so every night, if it's not raining, this nigga's out there dancing for his life. Like, he dancing like he on the finals of America's Got Talent and he trying to win. Hardcore dancing. It's so funny. He living. I wonder if he be listening to Smile. I'm living my best life. Cause sometimes he be doing the shoulders though. Maybe he is. Ain't got time to put. Oh, can I go back and forth with you bitches? I'm living my best life. I don't know.
Probably listening to R. Kelly.
Jesus. Why? No, maybe not. Don't do that. Why would he be listening to that?
Because R. Kelly got a range of tempos that allow you to dance in all kind of different ways.
He young. He look like he be probably the Migos or some shit. Like, he's a younger dude. He don't look
Not
like
with the
he's
shoulders. He ain't listening to Migos with the shoulders. What are you talking about?
But that's why I said maybe he listened to Smile, because that's the dance for Smile is I'm living my best life.
That ain't the Migos.
You do the shoulders. I don't know. But it's fucking hilarious. Okay. So speaking of Colin has requested that we do another live show. So we just want to know, I guess, what day and time would be good for y'all?
I think we need to set it for like 2 weeks out.
Yeah, it'll have to be because we got to see what they say and then set it up. So what day and time would y'all be able to watch us live? Because we got a request to do another. We haven't done a live show with just the two of us. We did that like once, I think.
Yeah.
And then the rest of the time it's been with government names, so we haven't done it in a while.
Okay, so it'll be me and you, and let's plan to do it on the 2nd of September.
What is that?
That's on Sunday.
Sunday. Okay.
Now, unless we get some input from anybody who want to participate in the next week, that's when it's going to be.
Yeah.
That gives us time to hear back from y'all, and if y'all don't get an opportunity to, give us any feedback, then it's already on a tentative date where you can just join in if you're available.
Yeah. So
we'll do it like that.
And Colin, definitely want to hear from you since you requested it, so we want to make sure you are able to tune in. So like a time on that Sunday. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I think that's it for the letters. So if you have a question you would like for us to answer on the show, you can send it to our Gmail account, which is conversationconartist@gmail.com, or you can find us on Facebook, Conversation Con Artist, and send it to us that way. So Aretha Franklin died, which is very sad.
Very.
So a couple of things. One, did you see what Trump said about her?
He said she used to work for me or something like that, right?
Yeah, but he sent out two. The first one was like, Aretha Franklin, one of our greats, is dead. Like, it, that's very harsh language. Like, it's not very presidential. Now, what Obama said was, we've lost one of our greats. She was this amazing talent. Like, it was more tactful. Trump has no tact. I don't think anytime that you're talking about the death of somebody that you just say she dead. Like, we know that. It's a little harsh language. He did say that she worked for him, which is a lie. I think she had performed at one of his little hotels, but I don't think it wasn't like if Obama said that would be true. She sang for him, I think at an inauguration, or she sang for him and Michelle at something. So he could have said that. Of course he didn't, because he has sense, but she didn't work for Trump. I don't know why the fuck.
Listen,
he felt the need.
Donald Trump is, the movies where there is somebody who don't know what the hell going on with society, like a robot, or so I'm thinking about like Chip. I don't know if you remember that old movie.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that movie. Brendan Fraser, the movie where he was the caveman.
Oh yeah.
Like Donald Trump literally does not know iRobot. Like he does not know the rules that dictate the society we live in at all. He don't know how to deal with people. He's not educated about our history. He's not educated about our politics and shit. And it's crazy because he's the president.
It is. It's sad. Like I saw that first tweet and where he was just like, she's dead. And I was just like, that, like, we know that. Like I never talked to somebody about death being like, well, she dead. Like you just don't, it's such a sensitive subject that you were supposed to approach it with sensitivity, and he lacks that. So I guess it's not surprising that he wasn't able.
He's the son of a Klansman.
Yeah.
I don't know what people believe the son of a Klansman is supposed to become. You're not the son of a Klansman and then a preacher that's unbiased.
Whose song was Son of a Preacher Man? It wasn't Aretha, was it? The only boy that could ever reach man was the son of a preacher man. That just, it popped in my head when you said he was the son of a Klansman.
Let's find out.
He was. I don't know if that was her or not.
Son of a preacher man. Who is Dusty Springfield?
Man. Dusty? That can't be the original person. The fuck? I don't know who that is.
Dusty Springfield. Some white woman.
Really?
Some white woman that looked like a man.
Oh, gee. Dusty is a man name. Oh, she looked like a drag queen. Maybe somebody else remade it.
Maybe it's a...
I don't know. Okay, well that's
her name is Mary Isabel Catherine Bernadette O'Brien.
Where the fuck did Dusty come from?
Dusty Springfield. I don't know.
Jesus.
Professionally known as Dusty Springfield.
That is fucking
She's
terrible.
an English pop singer.
Maybe it was, I don't know.
That's an old English ass name.
Yeah.
O'Brien. She must got some Scottish, Irish.
Yeah. I don't know the difference.
Anyway, yeah. But I don't know. You don't go from the son of a Klansman to a Black Lives Matter advocate. Okay,
no.
So on the scale of where you come from, being the son of a Klansman is not that far. It's just a stone's throw away from where your daddy was at. Okay.
Yeah.
So just that alone, I just don't understand why that alone isn't enough for people to at least be like, let's see what he got to say. And now we know what he say is like, okay, so the sticks are falling where they at. He's the son of a Klansman. He's talking trash about every brown community he possibly can. I mean,
yeah,
I wouldn't know what more evidence you need. Like if you found out your boss daddy was a famous popular Klansman that got arrested at some point, and you always heard him making disparaging remarks about the people around you, you're gonna be like, he racist.
Yeah.
And he's my boss. So all I can do is quit.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we can't quit America.
Unfortunately. Well, I also brought up Aretha just because, did you know that Aretha had 4 sons?
No. Ain't none of them famous?
No. One of them used to play guitar for her at one point, but I don't think they're famous.
No.
Did you know that she had her first child when she was 12 years old? And then her second child when she was 14 years old?
Nope.
And then her next child, I think at 19, and I don't know how old she was when she had the other one. But supposedly they were by boys her age. But 12 is a little young, even back then, to be having a baby. Especially when she was the daughter of a famous preacher.
So she was never abused for that?
Not that I read or found. So.
Yeah.
Now the kids, she didn't raise them the first two. The first two, because back then they ain't want. Her dad was a famous preacher, so that was just not gonna fucking fly. So the kids got raised by her. I want to say her grandmother and her aunt. So she didn't raise them first two.
I'm just not buying that she was not abused for them first two kids. You not finna I mean, clearly, the son of a preacher. I mean, the daughter of a preacher. Of course, the story is gonna be something
they put it
as
on,
docile as possible.
2 little boys they had different dads. She's named the boys that it supposedly was, but 12 is really young for her to be making a baby and it not be abuse. But
I mean, these days it's gonna be abuse anyway.
yeah, because of her. Back then it wouldn't have been. I don't even know if they had, because they, I don't know. I don't know if they had any laws surrounding that. I wonder when the laws got into place. But I only say that because, so I told my mom, I was like, sometimes y'all be acting like, oh, these young people, like y'all did shit. It just, we didn't, social media didn't exist. It was covered up a lot better, but like, people been doing fuck shit forever. Like, it's not like this generation started doing the fuck shit. And so I wanted to bring up one more thing about some older singers that was interesting. Sam Cooke, was born by the river. Sam Cooke. So, his life was like a love and hip hop. So when he died, it is fairly well known that protege Bobby Womack, you know who Bobby Womack is, right? Married Cooke's widow Barbara just 3 months after his death, and that Cooke's daughter Linda later married Bobby's brother Cecil Womack. But there's more to the story. Cooke's family was livid when Bobby and Barbara married, so much so that 3 of the Cooke brothers met the couple in a Chicago hotel and beat Womack senseless. Also, according to Womack's autobiography, Midnight Mover, he would sneak out of his bedroom at night to carry on a tryst with stepdaughter Linda. When Barbara found out, she held a gun to his head, ordering him out of the house. As he ran toward the garage, she fired one shot, grazing Bobby's scalp. This was the cause of their divorce. Linda went on to marry Cecil, often working musically with Bobby as well, although she never spoke to her mother again. The fuck? So their lives were full of shit. It just wasn't as well known. Like, it's so many stories of like this kind of shit happening with some of these older celebrities. Like, their lives were ridiculous.
It's encapsulated in Bobby Womack's music. Have you listened to a lot of like Bobby Womack got a song? Because I really would kind of want to know the year that happened, because Bobby Womack got a song called "I Wish You Wouldn't Trust Me So Much." It's referring to with your woman alone.
They got married 3 months after this man died. They was already together before this nigga died. And Sam Cooke's death was weird too. Supposedly he went to a hotel and the lady in the office said he came in there with a jacket on and no pants and no shirt and tried to attack her, and she shot and killed his ass. That's how Sam Cooke died.
Damn.
Yeah. I was trying to find the part where it talked about his death. But yeah, the family never believed it. They don't know exactly what happened, but they don't believe that it got ruled a justifiable homicide, but they don't believe it because it wasn't like him. And it's just weird, like, who put on a suit jacket and nothing else?
Hey, cocaine is a hell of a drug.
It is. I've never seen anything about him doing drugs he could have been, and maybe he was, but yeah.
So how would getting pregnant at 12 and 14 for an Aretha Franklin psychologically impact her, you think?
It means that she was exposed to sex at a very, very young age. So that could have an impact on just how she views herself, how she views men or boys, whatever.
I mean, she enamored men in her music. Mm-hmm. Like, in her music, she was there for a man, you know? So I'm thinking that the impact that those things had on her is that it just grew grew a fondness for men
Yeah.
very early.
Even if they wasn't shit, because one of my favorite songs by her is what's the name of that song? You're no good, heartbreaker. You're a liar and you're a cheat. I don't know why I let you do these things to me. A lot of it was her getting fucked over in the music, but still, you know, being loyal to those men. And her history.
She sings "Son of a Preacher Man."
She does that.
Yes.
Okay, she's who I've heard singing. I ain't
It's
heard
on
Dusty.
the greatest hits list.
I ain't heard Dusty. I heard Aretha.
Dusty wrote it. Well, she performed it
So
originally.
I ain't know nothing about Dusty. I thought I remembered her performing "Son of a Preacher Man." So yes,
Son of a Klansman.
son of a Klansman. But it would have. She did enamor men. And I wonder how that impacted her relationship with her kid, because she had 4 boys. She never had a daughter. She only had sons. One of the sons she did, like I said, he played guitar for her at some point in her career. She was engaged this last time for like forever, and she finally called it off in like 2000 and something. I don't remember. I don't know.
So we all know about the Patti LaBelle, Aretha Franklin so-called feud.
And then Fox News put up a picture of Patti LaBelle because all of us look alike. So how the fuck you confuse them two? Fox News showed a picture of Patti LaBelle when referring to Aretha Franklin. Not only were they enemies, they don't look nothing alike. It's
White eyes is different. You know, some white people look the same to me.
Did no nigga look at this before it went up and say, "Hey, that's Patti"?
I'm just saying, I can understand. I can't understand why they did that, because they are 2 prominent celebrities. But you know,
yeah,
black eyes is different for black people than white eyes is for white people.
I guess.
I look at black people and I measure them on different terms. You know,
It was
that's
just
not
funny to
racist.
me.
That's just how it is.
It's just funny to me, but yeah.
I've grown up looking at so many black people. I know all the small little distinguishments. I hadn't been in the face of that many white people. Now clearly I've seen the face of that many white people in movies and TV and all over the place. But Patti LaBelle put out a warm, heartfelt rest in peace. And the article that I read was like, you know, rumors of a feud put to rest. And I'm like, no, it's not.
That just means she was doing good
It
PR.
means she won. Patti LaBelle won. She has no reason now to throw salt. If you have an enemy for your whole lives and they die, you win. Ain't no reason to be salty now. I don't think it negates the fact that they was salty towards one another the whole time.
Oh, they were. Have you seen some of them? They were shady as fuck to each other.
I saw a video where Aretha Franklin didn't shake her hand.
Walked right on by her.
And Patti LaBelle was like, that didn't happen. And Aretha Franklin was like, I just know it's a woman with a green coat. Like, I didn't know that was Patti LaBelle. Like, you didn't know that was Patti LaBelle. But Patti LaBelle and Aretha Franklin were the embodiment of the 2 old ladies in your church that like the same deacon. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, Jesus.
But I'm team Aretha though. I don't like Patti LaBelle.
Why you don't like Patti?
I don't like Patti LaBelle.
Patti has
She's
a delicious
too diva-ish.
blackberry cobbler though. It's delicious.
It was delicious.
I don't know, but I don't eat
but
sweet potato pie, so
she just too diva. Like
she is.
So Chris Cuomo on the Cuomo Show, CNN, he gave a recap of I forgot what event it was. It was an orchestra event where Aretha Franklin was there, and the dude who was supposed to perform, who had been practicing for weeks, dropped out with an hour before the show started. And they went to her and to get her to do it. And she said, let me hear his version of it. And then he did it. And like, he was just talking about that as one of the most precious moments that he ever, you know, had. And it just showed her skill, her talent, her genius. And for some reason at the end of it, a boy walked up to her and hugged her while she was doing the like final note. You could tell she was like startled, like, who the fuck is this? And then, but she finished the note. But if you were to go watch the video, that's what happened. And it's videos of Patti LaBelle not having her background singers like getting mad at the show and being like, well, if y'all ain't gonna sing, I guess I ain't gonna sing. I'm like, the difference of in character between the two, and not only that, but like Patti LaBelle when her little pump, what were they pick? Oh, the orange pies. What they put sweet potato pies. When they came out and the dude, the flamboyant dude, came out and did reviews on it, and she was like, and the pies skyrocketed after that.
Oh yeah, she ain't want to acknowledge him.
And she was like, they ain't got nothing to do with him. My pie's just delicious. Walmart doing some good marketing. That ain't got nothing to do with that boy. Like that. Those are the things that make me say, I don't like Patti LaBelle. I just don't. She don't fit into the kind of person that would be in my world. I'm surprised that she did one of them sneakers commercials where they was like, you acting like a diva now.
Yeah.
I mean, she did that, but that's what common knowledge that she's like that, and she accepts it. I don't like that. Aretha Franklin seemed humble. She's acted in a... Well, I mean, I'm just saying, throughout the course of her life, she seemed like a humble person. Seemed like she was reactionary to bullshit that Patti LaBelle had going on.
She was on Wendy Williams a little before her death. Did you see it?
What? No, I didn't see that.
So Wendy was asking her who she would like to see play her in a biography about her. And Wendy would say certain names. She was like, no. Like, I think some of the names, I'm just like,
it's Wendy Williams. When you go on the Wendy Williams show, you already on 10 for bullshit. You should be. If you not, you ain't ready.
She suggested Queen Latifah. Why would you think Queen Latifah would do a good job playing Aretha
So you're
Franklin?
looking for chubby, light-skinned black women. That's your marketing strategy?
She said Jennifer Hudson, Fantasia. She was like, I can see that, you know. It was somebody else. She said, she was like, no.
But I don't see why that would be an indicator of her, because Wendy Williams just giving bad suggestions.
Yeah, but she wasn't the way. You just have to see how she her response to saying no or not them. It was real like, bitch, please.
But Aretha Franklin had just researching and reading her. Like when she died, I've never been a fan of Aretha Franklin like that, but I listen to her greatest hits.
I love Aretha Franklin.
I listen to her greatest hits. It sounds way too church. Her music is way too churchy for me.
Because she was raised in church.
I know. I'm just saying it's still really, really churchy. So it's like, it's a turn off for me. Not because it's churchy, but it's just maybe because it's churchy. But she was a silent activist in a lot of regards. When Angela Davis was charged with all of the shit she was charged for treason and all that shit she was charged for, Aretha Franklin was about to post her bail. $250,000 was her bail.
Damn.
She was gonna post it against her PR team's advice. She was gonna post it, but she didn't because she was out of the country at the time. You know, so when I look at stories like that about Aretha, regardless, but I don't have none of that shit with Patti LaBelle. That's why I'm team Aretha in that regard.
I'm gonna have to. Have I ever shown you Got to Be Real? I'm gonna show you.
What is that? That a song?
No. Well, it is a song, but so somebody on YouTube is this girl. I can't remember. I think her name's like Patti LaHale. I'll find it before I leave. So she did dub overs. And so Guys to Be Real was supposed to be like this, like this, what is it called? The reality show. So she would just take clips of all of these divas, but she would dub her own voice or like somebody else's voice that sounds similar. So it was Patti LaBelle, Aretha Franklin, who were always throwing shade at these.
I have seen that.
It's fucking.
Yeah, I've seen it.
And she did like I don't know how many episodes, but Beyonce, Fantasia, Rihanna.
Yeah, I only saw the one with the divas though.
That is this.
It's all of them in one video.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
yeah, all of them is Fantasia, Mariah Carey.
Oh yeah, I don't know. I saw something, but I don't.
Yeah, all of them, and so
I don't remember seeing the new.
Eventually, they got separated into teams. It was so fucking funny. Like she did such a good job, and her voice, her voiceovers are amazing. Like she did a real good job sounding like the women. But if you have not seen it, it is called Got to Be Real by I want to say her name is Patti LaHale on YouTube. It's so fucking funny, and she really like encapsulated this this feud between Patty and Aretha because they were the two main divas on the show. And they constantly was talking shit about each other. And Dionne Warwick was in it.
Yeah, I remember seeing her. So
They
I
made
saw
fun
it.
of her
I guess I
smoking.
didn't see all of it.
It's so funny. Jesus. It's so funny. She did such a good job. Everybody was sad when she ended it. She just... Because I can imagine, like, she had to find the right clips where she could dub over and it looked like they're saying what she's... Like, I can imagine that took a shit ton of time because she just took clips that were already out there in the world of them and then dubbed her voice over it. So, like, the amount of time that she had to put into that shit is admirable because there ain't no way in fuck I could be that dedicated. And then so for the voices she couldn't do, she had to find somebody to, because I don't think she's not the one that did Beyonce's voice. She had somebody else do it. But she did most of the voices, but there were just some I guess she couldn't imitate. But that shit is funny as fuck. And she did really good with the Patty and Aretha shade. But rest in peace to Aretha Franklin. Y'all would be surprised. I encourage everybody, if you got a favorite like old soul blues singer, look up their life because they was out here doing all kind of bullshit that people didn't know about. Because when I found out about Sam Cooke, like Bobby Womack ain't shit. You man, okay, you obviously was fucking around with Sam Cooke's wife. That's bad enough. Then you marry her and start fucking around with her daughter, nigga. Like Bobby, come on now. Really?
You can just look at Bobby Womack album covers and tell he ain't shit. I'm just letting you know. He legitimately looked like a smug bastard. I mean, all his album covers look like I just fucked your bitch. And now I'm finna sing.
It is weird that Linda went on to marry his brother and they all worked together. But she didn't talk to her. I'm sure you didn't talk to you. Because if my daughter, first of all, if I shoot a nigga over you trying to get you away from him and then you run off and still have contact, I might not talk to you no more neither. So she chose these niggas over her mom. Like, that's just crazy. Never spoke to her mom again. And then you went and married the nigga you already slept with, brother. This is weird. That whole situation is really, really weird.
So I tried to find out about my family's past when I was driving to my grandmama's. My daddy's house, and my grandma was with me. First road trip I've ever taken my grandma while I was driving. She used to drive to take us to go see my daddy in jail, and she used to damn near have panic attacks when there was trucks going by, transfer trucks, whatever. I think I talked about that before, but I was just trying to learn about the development of their relationship. So my grandmama got pregnant with my daddy at 16 by my granddaddy, who they both lived in the community. After that, my granddaddy, decided to stop messing with my grandmama and started dating her cousin, whom he is still married to today. But my step granddaddy came to be a dude that lived down the street and hung out with all of them. Like, I just think back, it wasn't none of this MySpace and all, no real ways to communicate with people outside of your local little community circle, really, unless you were like a traveler. I just feel like that just really was how a lot of them old school ass black family dynamics came to be.
But I'm talking about the people that had money. Bobby Womack had access to anybody else he wanted, and you fucking around with Sam Cooke.
I mean, if you traveling all over the country, and Sam Cooke wife in the truck with y'all, yeah, he get groupies, but she there every day
for him, not for Bobby.
Tell her that we all know Bobby is a smug bastard. Okay,
Jesus.
We know what Bobby sang about. Sam Cooke knew what Bobby sang about.
Barbara knew, and still
everybody knew what he sang about.
I bet Barbara felt like a whole asshole when she found out he was fucking her daughter. Then what? It's like, you knew he wasn't shit. Are you really surprised? She tried to kill him. She shot at him and grazed him. Tried to kill this nigga. She grazed him in the head. If it been over a little bit more, she'd have shot his ass in the head. Like, I'm telling you, like, I have yet to look up somebody like Bobby Womack or Aretha Franklin and not find some shit that make you be like, what?
Yeah.
Sam Cooke dying by supposedly attacking some woman in a hotel and she's with a jacket on and nothing and just naked. What?
Okay. Last week we talked about the male dancers that will be in the NFL this season.
Yes.
And Colin sent me a message that said they thought kneeling players was a problem. LOL. And he sent a picture of this dude with his leg extended all the way up to his head. Like, this nigga got full extension on that kick better than the women. And he was like, you know me, I be live messaging and live emailing the show. Because he sent me messages sometimes when he listening.
Oh, okay.
And he said, I sent a couple emails too, but I want y'all to talk about Omarosa the next show and how she's trying to come home, but we moved and our address isn't in the white pages no more.
We got, yes.
So we're going to get into talking about what's going on with this situation.
With Omarosa?
Yes.
I still say fuck her.
This is this is a real dynamic situation because it comes at the heel of the White House not being able to talk about the black people in the staff. So Omarosa started working in the White House with one of the highest salaries that you can get working in the White House. And she, to her admission of what she believes was supposed to be for like black outreach. But, you know, there is a group of black people that have this only me mentality. Like, it ain't really for me to help open the gates for black people. It's for me to close the gates on other black people. I got here and like y'all outside and y'all can stay outside type situation. I feel like that's originally what Omarosa did, and I think that Omarosa was all right with that.
Yes.
So Omarosa being in the White House has apparently recorded over 200 conversations of all kinds of different interactions in the White House. At this point, she has released 4 audio tapes. The first audio tape was General Kelly firing her.
Okay.
The second audio tape was Trump's conversation with her after he fired her. The third conversation was her having a conversation with Katrina Pearson and Lynn Patton, which were other black members of Donald Trump's team, about how to manage the fallout from an N-word or tape or spin it. And the fourth one was his son's wife talking to her about her future role on the campaign. Now, this was after she was kicked out of the White House.
So basically, like, we gonna bring you back for 2020.
Yeah, for you to shut up. Or maybe for you to bring out this end tape where in this nigga tape, I don't know what I'm saying, this nigga tape and to put it to rest. So the first tape was of General Kelly firing her, brought her into the Situation Room, which it is highly illegal to record in the Situation Room because of the sensitivity of the information. Now, I don't know if the information in the room has to be sensitive for charges to be placed against her for doing it, because clearly her firing wasn't sensitive information to the country's security.
Why was she brought to the situation? Because I feel like that's irregular in itself to bring her in there to fire her. The Situation Room is supposed to be for sensitive information, and it's supposed to be like, it's odd to me that that's even where the firing occurred.
The prologue to her book explains what she think happened.
Okay.
So he brought her into the Situation Room because the plan was to search her office because they thought she might have had her hands on this tape. Hope Hicks had been asking her questions about that tape constantly, and she think that, I don't think it's that she thinks, I think the dude who was giving the recap, because I watched the video of the dude reading the prologue, he was saying that Hope Hicks was like setting her up with General Kelly and getting closer and closer to figuring out about this tape. And he brought her into the Situation Room because it was the only place that he would be able to physically hold her and not allow her to leave, because there are armed guards at the front of that room at all times.
Which, again, is a situation, because that's not what the situation room is for. So like I don't know. It'll
That's
be
what I'm
interesting.
saying. Like
Yeah.
I don't know if the general recording in the situation room is enough to be a problem or what. And apparently they use this honor system in there. Is these little boxes that you put your phone in, and it's not just so people don't record, but it's because some devices, when not, when their signal is not blocked, can transmit information and communication anywhere. So I guess either they're gonna come up with new rules for what it means to record in the situation room and consequences,
Probably.
or they just gonna change up how they do. But
they need to change up what they go into the situation room for. Trying to keep somebody so you can search them is not a good reason.
and it don't sound justified to bring her in there to fire her.
No.
And that's kind of what it seems like the reason was for. But she came into the situation room. General Kelly said there's been some, we heard the tape, there's been some serious ethical concerns or whatever in your behavior as a staffer. Now, that's where the tape ends. What they continue to talk about in the room with the lawyers is that she used her government issue vehicle to attend a baseball game in Washington. That was the violation that he was talking about.
That is not enough to fire somebody.
Now,
especially when...
Let me tell you where I wish I was like Omarosa. Omarosa has every single receipt that she has ever, since she was 3, she has ever had. I'm convinced that she probably that obsessive, that compulsive, that she keeps the intense records of everything. So she said the lawyers was like having this conversation like, we got you. She was like, okay, go get my book. Go get my, let me go get my, like send somebody to go get my calendar. It turns out that game was the congressional baseball game that was supposed to be honoring the congressman that got shot. And she said half of the government was at that game with their government issued vehicles. And so she said the lawyers at that point said, well, we grasping at straws here. And then he said that you transported your mate in your government issued vehicle.
So did they.
Yeah, she said everybody transports their mate in there. And what we found out is that this ain't the first time she worked in the White House. She worked in Bill Clinton's White House before. I did not know that. She worked on Al Gore's campaign. She is deeply aware of the rules regarding these systems.
More aware than Trump himself.
Exactly. And that's supposed to be when she started realizing that following the rules, measuring, monitoring all this stuff was important.
Yeah.
Here's
my only problem with Omarosa.
Hold on.
Okay.
I ain't done. Let me go through all this.
Okay.
The second tape she released was of Trump's response, where Trump was like, hey, I heard you leaving. What happened? And she said, well, General Kelly wants me to leave, said y'all want me to leave. And he was like, I don't like that. I don't know. I don't think that's the case. And he was like, damn it. Like, he could not be more transparent in his bullshit of knowing that happened than anything else. Like, he literally could have went to General Kelly and said, hey, what you doing?
Don't do that. Yeah.
That would have been simple, because Steve Bannon got a lot of flack for people saying Steve Bannon was running the White House. So if Trump wasn't in cahoots, that would have been something that he would have came out talking shit about instead of just accepting that she was leaving and whatnot. That was the second tape, but that put up the facade. It showed the facade that Donald Trump was playing. Now, after this, Omarosa got on the interviews trail because she's clearly trying to market her book. And she said that, at the beginning of the campaign, there was talks of Donald Trump saying nigga on tape at The Apprentice. We don't know. We still don't know, but it's people who have come out to verify, like Penn from Peel and Teller has come out and said, he said a whole bunch of stuff, including that.
Who's surprised? I mean, it's like, duh.
But she was like, me and Katrina Pearson and Lynn Patton had a conversation about, the possibility of this tape where he's saying nigga. And, Katrina Pearson, which is just black by the outside, said that there has never been such conversation. Never been a conversation like that. I've never had a conversation in this regard with Omarosa.
Why when you
Boom, Omarosa dropped the tape.
dumbass?
You know what I'm saying? Like, it is okay. Now hold on. Let's go to the fourth tape. The fourth tape is of not Jared, but one of Donald Trump's son's wife talking about her role in the campaign. They were gonna pay her $180,000 literally just to do nothing really. It would seem like hush money. It seemed like
basically,
shut up, quit doing all this shit you're doing.
Yeah.
And it made a lot of donors mad because that money was money that came from donors that they were feeling to give $180,000 a year to her to do what she was going to do with it. This is classic Omarosa tactics. Omarosa is clearly setting up all these people to say things that they don't know that they recorded saying.
So you're getting them
challenging
to
it, and she gets crediting the shit out of everybody.
Yeah.
And now this is right. Omarosa is Donald Trump.
Yes.
Omarosa is Donald Trump,
Yeah.
except
She's smarter
the
than
claims that he make don't have no tapes. The claims that she making have tape. I mean, when you talk about the narcissism, when you talk about the recordings, because Donald Trump said he recorded everything and everybody. When you talk about their need to control, that was shown on The Apprentice. Omarosa is not a friend to the black community.
And that's what I was going to say. That's what my problem with her is. Ricky Smiley here in Birmingham had her on the show. I think it was Thursday or Friday. And he called her to task. He was like, don't sit up here and act like you didn't know who Trump was before you got this job. And so what she said was, her narrative that she's putting out there is, I could have been like everybody else and stayed at home, yelling at the TV, being upset or angry, or I could get in the White House and do something about it. So she's trying to make it seem like she this champion for black people when we all know Omarosa does things for Omarosa. If black people somehow gets benefited by it, okay, but like she is not doing this for anybody but herself. Omarosa then got a book deal. She finna be doing hella interviews. Like, Omarosa finna come the fuck up off of this. So it's not for us. That's my issue with her, is that don't act like you give a shit, Omarosa. Like, you still ain't coming to the cookout. I'm sorry.
It was a tweet that said that Omarosa is the Loki of black people.
That is very accurate.
She conning your ass constantly. Ain't shit she saying accurate or true, and you might as well plan for it to be a con or a scam. But it's relatively entertaining when it's working in your favor at the moment.
Every now and then Loki come through for you, but most of the time he fucking you over. And that's what I see with Omarosa. Like, so my only issue, I'm with it. Release the tapes. Make him look bad. I'm with it. But don't act like you're doing this for anything other than for your benefit. And that's what it is, because y'all are two peas in a pod. The error in Trump is his narcissism and thinking that nobody's smarter than him. Not recognizing that Omarosa was him on a higher level and trusting her with all of the access. He's the reason why she has these tapes. Because he's the one who gave her access to all these different people and all this different information, because he is so narcissistic that he cannot foresee somebody outsmarting him, because he thinks he's the smartest thing in any room all the time. And so what she's done is fuck him all the way over he did this. And
it wouldn't surprise me if, knowing who he was from the beginning, that she knew that she was going to get some good shit.
Oh yeah. I absolutely believe that she went in there and was like, I'm gonna record the fuck out of, like, the first time she heard some fuck shit, I'm sure she was like, okay, this my escape plan. Let me just go ahead and start recording shit. Like, absolutely. I
don't even think it was let me go ahead and start recording shit. I feel like once Donald Trump called her and said, I want you in the White House, her first Google search was best ways to record things in private environments. Yeah. And she watched YouTube videos on how to record, and she went and researched all the equipment. I mean, the minute after she hung up, she was like, oh, hell yeah, best recording shit.
Yeah.
Because I just think that was a part of her plan. And now what she's trying to sell to people, because now she need to be seen as some kind of martyr or something, or that she did something for a noble purpose for a larger group. now she's out here trying to make it seem like she was always a champion.
Just release the tapes, Omarosa, and shut the fuck up. Like, I don't need all that.
If she got 200 tapes, it's gonna take a year for all of these tapes to come out.
And that's fine, but like in the meantime, you can keep this you champion for black people shit, because don't nobody buy it.
She gonna do what she do.
It's unnecessary. Like, I feel like people still listen to the tapes. People still want to hear what she had. You ain't gotta say you're a champion for us, because we know better. Anybody with any common sense know better.
Well, that's where I have to say that me and you take how much common sense we have for granted. Omarosa ain't talking to me and you, Red. Omarosa talking to the people that hate Trump so much that they will listen to anybody with brown skin who say Trump is racist.
Yeah.
Who would put out a book exposing Trump for, the things that we already knew about him anyway. But most of the book is about her life. It ain't even about the White House. It's like she sprinkled White House. Like, I'm willing to say Omarosa is damn near a genius if she ain't one. Like, IQ-wise.
Oh, yeah.
Like, she is an intelligent
very
ass motherfucker. She is charismatic as hell.
Oh, these
she
interviews
is attractive.
Are amazing. Her interview skills, amazing.
Like, she came out on...
that bitch can interview.
I couldn't think of the Daily Show dude name.
Trevor Noah.
There we go. Okay, Trevor Noah. She came out and she sat in the chair and she said, I don't think the chair was ready for this jelly. Like, to me, that's like the Hillary Clinton hot
pandering.
Sauce.
It's pandering like a motherfucker.
And I'm sitting here like, she's smart, but I see through that shit. You ain't finna low-key my ass out here. Like,
she don't even. I can't even imagine her sounding right saying that. Like, Omarosa saying that is like somebody white saying it. Like, I feel like it would have the same impact where I would just be like, girl, just sit your ass in the chair and do this interview.
She's saying what she's saying what she's saying right. She's saying how she say it right. It sounded natural. It would just make sense coming from somebody else. You know what I'm saying?
I have to watch it. I can't imagine her saying it and me being... I just feel like it would sound off. Because her voice
the only reason it sounded off because it was her.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, though.
What I'm saying is psychologically, anybody else who would have said that wasn't Omarosa, exactly how she said it would have been normal and funny. But because it's Omarosa saying the same thing the way she said it, psychologically, she shouldn't have said it. In my head, it didn't sound right.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So I don't think it's going to sound right to you either. I don't even think it sounded right to Trevor Noah.
Probably not.
You know what I'm saying? And Trevor Noah was like, I would not believe you if you did not have the tapes. I just wouldn't believe it at all. Like, it seems preposterous, the stuff that you're saying. But, like, lo and behold, you have tapes. And, she go talk about, being a black person. I know that, she's just going to the whole black thing about how black people gonna get, she got railroaded. And I don't think it's because, well, I think her being black definitely impacts how she was handled. Clearly, that happened with everybody in America, so she wouldn't be excluded because I don't think her blackness ain't used right. But General Kelly never wanted her there. Yeah. Ever. And
he was right though. Like, again,
he wasn't right. He wasn't right because of this.
What do you mean?
This don't make him right.
How does it not make him right?
Because he wasn't making that decision based on the fact that he thought she might record 200 tapes. He was probably doing it based on the fact that she's unqualified. He was probably doing it based on the fact that he know her personality.
It's too much like Trump.
There, before he got there was already ideas that she was bringing Trump bullshit into the Oval Office, which is why he ended up being mad about stuff so much. So he came in and he cut off her access to Donald Trump.
Yeah,
and she dealt with her access. She dealt with that access being cut off, and then I guess she just wasn't useful at all. Doing shit like going to get her wedding pictures took in the damn White House, like all the shit that she was doing that was frivolous. It was clearly that she was just like having a field day in the White House, just on a field trip for 4 years if she would have lasted that long.
Yeah.
And General Kelly is he strategizes. And she wasn't a part of the strategy. So I ain't gonna say her being black had something to do with this. And I can't say that this is the reason that he was right with his assumption. His early assumption was right in why she shouldn't have been in the White House. She never should have been in the White House. But then again, Trump should have never been in the White House. And subsequently, if Trump wasn't in the White House, she would have never been in the White House.
No, because nobody else would have brought her in.
You know, but this is what's happening right now. He's being exposed. And you know what? This is the thing. Omarosa, from this moment, she gonna have to become a fucking Angela Davis to change some of that. Like, if up to this point she been pandering to white America, and now she gonna pander to black America. Like, she got to do something. She got to sacrifice. This ain't a sacrifice. This wasn't a sacrifice. This has brought her more press and more financial stability with these book deals.
I don't think that she is capable.
She gonna have to sacrifice something.
Sacrifice and narcissism, kind of. I don't know if she can do it.
She's going to do something she's gonna do something within the next few years to anger the black community.
Yeah.
Like, when her book shit go down and another book coming out, something else is gonna happen. Now, there's some things I didn't know about Omarosa. I didn't know she was engaged to Michael Clark Duncan when he died.
I didn't know that either. That's a weird coupling. I wouldn't put them together.
I didn't know that she worked. I did not know that she had worked in Bill Clinton's White House, which is odd because Democrat. I don't know. She worked on Al Gore's campaign, which is odd because, Democrat. That just showcases how much she thrives off of that power. It shows how much that Trump thrives off of that power. Both of them thrive off of leverage. And that's one of those things that went on in The Apprentice. That one of the problems that she had in that show. But she is not invited to the cookout.
Hell no.
If I find out that you finna take her plate from the cookout, you can't come back to the cookout.
You're fucking right.
She got a lot to show and a lot to prove for, me to accept her being at the cookout while I side eye her, snub her, and wait for her to, bring the FBI to the cookout to get your cousins that sell drugs.
No ribs for Omarosa. Hashtag no ribs for Omarosa.
She ain't out. But you know what? This shit is entertaining as hell to me.
Oh, hell yeah.
Watching her interviews, seeing how people are responding to it, seeing Republicans act like Ray Charles in this situation right now, seeing the Trump family scramble. But I'm interested to see if they legitimately have charges that they can bring against her for this situation. I feel like if she thought she could, she wouldn't. She also didn't sign the NDA. She didn't sign the non-disclosure agreement that they say everybody signed in the White House for Trump. She said she didn't sign it. And now they holding her wedding photos hostage. Everything that she had in her office, they said the only way that she can get them back is to sign this draconian style non-disclosure agreement. And she's refusing to. But they holding all the shit that she left.
Can they hold her stuff?
Probably not, but it's
I
the
don't
government,
think that's
so it
legal.
can do whatever it want to do.
You can't hold somebody's shit till they sign a non-disclosure.
Yo, Wendy's manager can't. But your goddamn General Kelly, people, his first name might as well be General. General Kelly can. You know what I'm saying? That's what's happening. So it's entertaining, but I don't trust Omarosa. I don't like Donald Trump. General Kelly, he's respect for your service, but he's just been caught telling lies and saying shit that I don't agree with and doing some fuckery himself. That's like what Donald Trump brings. That's what the Donald Trump diminishes you to. You know what I'm saying? Like, Donald Trump is the dude who, when you pull up to the bank, run out with a mask and a bag with money falling out of the bitch. And whether you like it or not, you are complicit in his bullshit. It don't matter who you are. Donald Trump bringing you down with him. So sorry, anybody that's been in his circle that could have otherwise been an honorable person. You did that to yourself. Decision you made to have power and access. And if you I imagine these people think their career is gonna be solidified after this shit. Yo, if you want to write some books about the White House, that it will. But ain't nobody gonna want you in their situation. But every time that there's a lot of movies where there are always people that justify the bullshit that a government put out for whatever reason. So at one point she gonna say, And Sarah Sanders in 20 years gonna have a book out, and she's gonna say, yeah, we told a lot of lies, we covered up a lot of shit, but I was serving my country and doing the best that I could do for my country at the time.
Girl.
That's just how it's gonna be.
Stupid.
Like Scandal ain't really. That shit ain't fake. I mean, the stories are fabricated, but the gist of Scandal, from my perspective, the show is about the lengths that people in power are willing to go to maintain power. And that's what the show is about. It's showing how far people are willing to go to keep that power. So, Omarosa, do what you do. Put out some more tapes.
I'm with it. Did you see the video of the white man in the airport?
I did. I had that on my list.
What the fuck? So a white man, there's a video, if y'all haven't seen it. It's a clip of a white guy resisting.
Jeffrey Epstein.
That's his name.
He must be Jewish.
Resisting
Of
the
Jewish
police.
descent.
I heard like people who were there said that he had been being an asshole basically since he got to the airport. And so it came a point where security was called and they were trying to arrest him, and he was resisting, and he started yelling about how they were hurting him and you're treating me like a fucking black person. You're treating me like a black. So here's my issue. Okay, white people act like they Ray Charles to, how black people are treated differently than them. But here in this instance, he recognizes it because he wants it to help him. So does that mean that you recognize it all the time? So sometimes when y'all are saying that we making shit up.
Well, I don't think he can speak for all the white
well,
people.
Well, he can't. But I feel like a lot of them, because I feel like even he would say that black people were being dramatic and blah blah blah, and when it come to him finna get his ass whooped by the police, and they weren't even the police were not even beating. He was resisting. They had him on the ground. He wouldn't be still. They couldn't get the cuffs on him. Like, it wasn't even a excessive force situation. Like, they actually were treating him very nicely in comparison.
Did you hear his response
to the out? What did he say?
He said that he was trying to prove a point about police of excessive force.
Man, the fuck out of here, nigga.
If you're going to do this to a white doctor who's 59 years old for doing nothing, then why would black people trust you? He told a television news outlet.
And then this is exactly what I was saying about Omarosa. Don't try to use us. Just don't do that. I hate when people do that. Nigga, who believe that? What's his last name? Mr. Epstein? Dr. Epstein? You need more people.
Now listen. During the incident, he was calm until they told him that he can't get on the plane. And then he got belligerent. That's when they got the video of him, putting out.
Well, don't they tell us not to be belligerent, stop resisting arrest? Like, he should have just been calm and let them do their job, and they wouldn't have had to slam him to the floor.
Now let me tell you what he was charged with: battery of a law enforcement officer.
Okay, he was
resisting arrest.
He was
trespassing after a warning.
Okay,
disorderly conduct.
Yes,
and possession of cannabis.
Wait a minute.
He had a bag of weed with him.
Wait a minute.
He had a bag of weed at the airport with him.
Nigga. What? He had a bag of what? Dr. Epstein.
He had a bag of weed.
Sir. That's why he was fighting so hard. He didn't want them to search them bags.
Exactly. This dummy.
That's what it was. So don't act like you was a champion for black people.
She was not championing black people.
You didn't want them to find this weed you had on you, sir.
This man was committing crimes, and that the craziest thing.
Lose his license.
But that's the thing. Why? That's how you know it's bullshit. Because why the hell would you have a bag of weed on you and intentionally create a disturbance to bring a highlight to black to how police officers treat black people?
You wouldn't.
And you wouldn't. You wouldn't do that.
That's what I'm. Don't be trying to use black folks when you got some bullshit going on, sir. You resisted arrest because you didn't want them to find your weed, because you knew that you were not in one of these states where you could have it. And even if you are in a state where you could have it, you can't travel with the shit. You're not supposed to have no damn weed in no airport, sir. Even if you're in California or Colorado, you can't travel out of the state with that shit. Dr. Epstein. Wow. Folks just be lying. Nigga. I wanted to bring light to the way that nigga, you wanted to keep them from finding your dime bag that you had in your suitcase. I wonder where he was going, that he was like, let me make sure I got my weed so I can toke up when I get there.
People never been able to fly with weed. You know,
they never will be able to.
Why don't you just go with the normal tactic of getting flying down to where you going and go find a local weed man? Well, these days, depending on where you're going, you can just go to the weed shop.
Yeah.
But either way, you
can't travel with it.
Have strategies by how you go find weed.
Because you
can go to websites that'll let you direct you to where you can go to get weed when you touch down in their city.
Yep.
And this man out here using black people for leverage in his own pay. Like, he literally used black people as a scapegoat. Like, he ain't doing nothing but white manning. That's like what?
Yes.
There's nothing new with that.
Nope. Wow. Dr. Epstein finna just be Mr. Epstein. They're gonna take that damn license. That's another, again.
For what?
You, not only are you a doctor, you can't get arrested for using a illegal substance that alters your mind and be a doctor. I would assume. Can you?
You can't get caught at work with high. You know what I'm saying? If that's the case, doctors will be drug tested. Ain't no doctors in this country drug tested.
That don't mean
until they do something.
But that don't mean that it's so. It's a lot of people who smoke weed that's not supposed to because they don't get drug tested. That doesn't mean that it's okay for them to be smoking. I ain't saying it's
okay, but you saying he gonna lose his license.
Yeah.
I'm saying that the people who would determine whether he loses his license or not ain't gonna take his license away because he had some weed at an airport. Or because he smoked weed. It don't even matter. I don't think they're going to take it. I don't think they take his license because he smoked weed. What about doctors who were in California and doctors in Colorado?
Was he in California?
No, I'm just saying. I think that, like...
Well, that don't even mean... Because, like, the federal government... If you work for the federal government, even if you in one of them states, you still can't be tested for weed. So, that doesn't mean just because he's in one of those states that who he works for doesn't still have those rules in place. Because they don't have to allow you. You can smoke weed, but that don't mean that they have to allow you to work there doing so. Like, it's not automatic even if you in California or Colorado. Because the federal government, you still can't do it.
He might get fired from where he work at, but he not going to be unable to practice, I don't think. He might be fired because of how it looked and how it will impact the black people that come to his place.
What if they found crack on him? Would they take his license for that? So, like, any mood-altering drug you can take and not get your license taken?
I think one thing that we starting to see in our society with weed is that even though the laws are still in place, it's like interracial marriages. In Alabama, that shit's still illegal in the books like a motherfucker, but ain't nobody getting arrested for it. You know, I think that's what's happening with weed just because in some parts of the country it is legal. You know what I'm saying? And even though on the books it's illegal, unlawful, and problems, the only people it's really still causing problems for is black folks.
I guess
this man is going to be fine until he move to Inslee, start wearing a do-rag and selling dime bags out of his fucking square body something. He'll be fine. You know, that he's not the kind of people that this shit gonna consistently cause problems for.
You can do drugs and be fine and still be able to practice.
Shit, they had a whole show about it. House.
Oh yeah.
That nigga was a drug addict. Everybody knew it.
Everybody that worked there knew it.
Exactly.
His patients didn't know.
That's all that matters. That's all that matters. You know what I'm saying? You think that the secrets that doctors have that the outside world don't know about, The best doctor in the world might go beat his meat in the bathroom after every surgery. And everybody know what he do. But you know what? Nobody gonna say nothing.
Why would that be your sample?
It could be anything. They could do anything. Clearly dancing while your patients is wide open ain't a good thing. But
didn't they take her?
Yeah, they took her license. So there are things that you can do that will cause you those problems, but doctors have a lot of secrets. And they coworkers ain't gonna tell us about their secrets as long as they ain't killing nobody. Unfortunately, somebody gonna die for them to have it taken away.
Did you see his mugshot?
Yeah.
That nigga look like he do other drugs. I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's just a really, really bad mugshot. I mean, right here, he just looked like Harrison Ford.
He does not look like Harrison Ford.
He looked like Harrison Ford from The Fugitive. Tell me that don't look like Harrison Ford from The Fugitive.
It's closer to that.
It made him look rough. The problem is he got them bulldog cheeks.
He does. That's terrible.
He got them cheeks where you can hide stuff on the inside flaps. Like what was the dog name? The Hanna-Barbera dog that talked like a butler.
Oh,
it wasn't no Droopy or nothing like that.
I know he's talking about. I can't think of it.
That's who he looked like. On this picture, the picture you got, he looked like he need to get shot by the police.
Oh, he said, "I'm a conservative Republican. I'm a Trump guy. But until the police fix this problem, I don't blame black people for getting upset when they get arrested." Dr. Epstein, stop lying. Oh my God.
Stop lying. Bro, all your Republican friends finna leave your ass. Like, I can't believe he's saying that. I'm letting this Black Lives Matter doctor work on me. Thought he was a Republican and a friend.
But okay, so what happens if people do get upset and they start contacting his board?
He gonna get fired from his job.
No, not the hospital. What if they contact the board, the licensing board, and he get a bunch of complaints about, him smoking weed?
Listen, what I have been conditioned, because not you yet, but I operate on a board by a board standards. What I have been taught to understand is that they are seeking to determine whether I'm competent or not. They don't care what the community's response to whatever's happening with me is. They either think that whether I'm competent or not. Like, this is subject. Like, what about this situation? If this was me, could they call to my board and could say to the board that would make them say, well, he don't need to practice then?
Concern about him if smoking cannabis while he's doctoring.
But ain't no evidence that he's smoking cannabis while doctoring.
But there's evidence that he's smoking cannabis. So much so that he had to take it with him.
Well, I don't think concern, unless they call him and say that he was high when he was doing my procedure, that's different than I have concerns that he may be high sometimes. That ain't gonna make a board say I'm taking your license away. My board ain't gonna say, because the community got fears of what I might do.
Okay, so what happens if you get a DV charge?
If I get a domestic violence charge?
Doesn't have nothing to do with the community, and it didn't mean that you're not good with your clients.
It depends on if it's reported to the board or not.
But I'm saying, if you had a DV charge and somebody reported it to the board that you had it, like maybe the person that you committed the DV against.
If I had a domestic violence charge, I really think it would have it makes a difference whether the charge was accumulated before or after I was licensed.
This is after your license.
This is after I'm licensed.
Like, if you tomorrow.
I think they're gonna make their own subjective determinations about it. Because I know a therapist who has a felony charge, who had this felony charge before he went to school and before he became a therapist, and he had to turn in all of his documentation revolving around that situation.
But that's different,
including the classes that he went to, including the things that showed that whatever issue he had, he overcame.
I feel like it's different if it was before, though. Like, I know of a situation where this exact thing is going on, and the person who is the abuser in the domestic violence situation is like scrambling to not get this charge to go through, or get it lowered to a lesser charge. So like I'm saying, if you've already got your license, you've been practicing, and you get a DV charge, not prior to you doing this.
I think what the board would tell you to do, I think they would have me go through training. I think they would have me do whatever I'm supposed to do to recover from that thing. And then I think they will assess whether I've done enough to have my license back or not.
So they would suspend your license? You said have it back.
Maybe they would suspend it. Maybe they would revoke it. You know, they would do something where you can't practice.
And that's what this person's concerned. And so now it's so stupid.
But that's with an actual charge and proof of having done that thing.
But it ain't to none of her none of the clients are impacted by this. This is in her personal life. This is somebody she was living with that she put her hands on, and it doesn't have anything to do with her clients. It's nothing happened.
Well, I
with
guess
them.
the way I would discern the two is that your personal involvement of whatever you're doing or smoking don't have, like, as a therapist, if you are abusing people, that intersects with what you're supposed to be helping people do. So I assume that board is going to be so much more intentional about how they let you practice in that field, considering the behaviors that you are given, versus somebody who smoke in their spare time, which smoking is something that you can do in a reasonable enough time that you don't go to work high the next day.
What if he tests pot? What if they decide to drug test him because of this? he tests positive.
Well, you know, that's where it goes back into the subjectivity that has come along with where we are changing with substances. There's a lot of people that you're going to test and going to have weed in your system because it's staying there for a week. Mm-hmm. You know, the question becomes at the points that because of how our body processes it's in your system, that don't mean you're still high. You know, so I think all of that has been taken into consideration of how courts deal with weed, of how jobs deal with weed.
I just feel like when you're a doctor, it should be the standard should be a little higher, so considering what it is.
Doctors should not be allowed to smoke weed even in states where weed is legal.
Yeah.
No doctor can
want my doctor.
No doctors can do any recreational drugs.
I wouldn't want them to.
What if they drink too much every night?
They don't need to do that shit either. Like,
so what you're saying is that there are positions in this society that we have that because of what they do in that position, they should not have access to some of the things that people do substances to enjoy life.
Yeah, no.
Even though we have evidence that there are mind-altering substances that once those substances are out of your system, they won't impact performance.
But so what you're saying though is that you're assuming that everybody is gonna say, okay, I gotta do a surgery on Friday, so I'm gonna make sure I smoke on Monday. Like, that's not how addiction works. It's not how people smoke. Like, in order for that to make sense, he would have to be conscious of the fact that he gotta have so many days before he won't be impacted by this, before he does a surgery, or before he does. Like, I don't think that people who smoke, I don't think they take those things into consideration.
I don't think a bulk of people who smoke are addicted to the substances that they smoke when it's marijuana. I think that it's very possible for a lot of people to be addicted to it, but I think that a lot of people do it recreationally, in the sense that the recreation that they do is akin to drinking, is akin to. I don't want my doctor drinking the night before my surgery either. Like, I don't need that. I need you to be focused. Because when you open me up and close me up, I want to be alive at the end of this. So is it okay for the people who would be counseled by you the next day after you drank that previous night? It'll be okay for them to say, I don't want you drinking the night before because I want you to be focused on the stories I'm finna tell you and be in the right mind to be able to.
I wouldn't get upset about that. I don't really drink anyway.
But would you not drink in the times that you would, knowing that you work the next day? So I'm not the right person to ask that question, because drinking is not, I have my own issues with drinking in general. So if somebody asks me not to drink, it ain't gonna be a big deal. I'm not gonna be like, oh, I really want to have a drink. It's not gonna be that way. So like, I wouldn't care, because I barely drink as it is. When is the last time I had a drink? I don't even know. I don't drink a lot. So
For me, that would not be a issue. It wouldn't be something hard. It wouldn't be something that I'd be like, I want to do this recreationally, and I should be able to do it recreationally, and my job shouldn't matter. It wouldn't bother me.
But do you think therapy, the way that you're talking about doctors, do you think therapists, being a therapist is another field in which if somebody do drink every night, that is our request to say, I don't want my therapist doing nothing that will alter their mind, even if it's temporary, if they're gonna deal with me the next day.
I've had a hangover. I can't imagine trying to actually do therapy with a hangover. Like, I know you haven't had one before. You feel like shit. Like, focusing on what somebody's saying in a way that you're going to be able to do your job would be difficult. Like, loud sound is hangovers are horrible. So no, I don't think that's an unreasonable request. Having experienced the hangover, I can't imagine drinking tonight, getting drunk, and then getting up in the morning and trying to go listen to somebody at 9:00 come in to tell me about something that's going on with them. I'm not gonna be present. I'm gonna hear them and I'm gonna do my best, but I will not be present for real.
Hence, you would be okay with the board getting community reports about therapists and or doctors or any position that have a board saying that they're concerned about them smoking and drinking or doing these things, and for those licenses to be suspended.
Not based just on what the person is saying, but I'm saying, like, with the weed, if you could, doctors can be drug tested just like everybody else can be drug tested. Just like if you work for the federal government, there are jobs where you don't even deal with human lives that drug test. You get drug tested for you can work at fucking Sonic and all you're doing is flipping burgers. Like, if those positions get drug tested and people cannot be able to get a job that they need at Burger King or somewhere because of it, I don't understand why it would be unreasonable for somebody that actually does work where they have people's lives in their hand to not get drug tested. If you're going to drug test people who ain't really doing shit, why would they not be drug tested? I don't understand why that... It doesn't even make sense to me for the flipping burger. I can flip some burgers with a hangover probably.
Yeah,
they be,
I don't agree. I guess
I done had people. We have a program at my job that help people find jobs, and they have not been able to find jobs because they're drug tested. They ain't been able to find like simple fucking jobs.
First off, drug tests are exclusionary criteria. It ain't really to determine your ability to do the job.
Yeah.
It's so that they have something on you. When my daddy was working at Bluebird Bus Company, he said that, when they had to downsize, they just drug tested people. And drug testing was to fire people based on the drug test and for them to not have to give them no money behind it. That's leverage. That's what drug tests are. But, I just don't see there being a reason. I just need to know that my doctor is in his right mind at the time of doing the surgery or doing whatever he's doing.
But how are you going to know that? Again, you're assuming that doctors are going to take the time to make sure that they don't smoke before a surgery.
Well, that's the discernment. That's the discernment in that is not whether my doctor can have that, is whether my doctor is responsible or irresponsible. I don't want no irresponsible doctor, even if he don't do none of that shit.
Well, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And a doctor that is responsible, I would assume wouldn't do that shit and would hence make more appropriate decisions for me in the time that is needed. An irresponsible doctor who don't smoke and who don't drink, but who also don't wash his hands enough, I don't want to fuck with him neither. So I just want a responsible doctor. And I assume a responsible doctor, if he drank and smoked the night before, he will know to have done it in a time where he can get to work and not have a situation where he is still impaired. So that's just how I look at it. Like, I feel like people can do those things and be responsible in their roles and responsibilities.
Okay.
That's just me. But either way, ain't no way to monitor that. There's plenty of doctors who do shit they ain't got no business doing and come and poke your ass anyway. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's really no way to measure that. I just like for the people who do it to be responsible with it.
Doctors and nurses account for one of the highest rates of addiction among professionals.
Of course. They got access to it.
Exactly.
What
That's a problem. I'm saying again, that's why I say
there are irresponsible doctors and nurses that have that end up addicted, and there are other ones who are not.
But you know how you distinguish between them? Drug test them. Drug test them. And then you would get rid of the irresponsible nurses and doctors because they're gonna fail their drug test.
But I can assure you that they gonna fail for opiates. They not gonna fail for weed. And if they do fail for weed, I'm inclined to believe that a board ain't gonna call the weed that they fail for addiction versus the opiates that they fail for addiction. And like I said, the way that weed is being perceived is just shifting in our
I
society.
guess I would need to see the policies of the hospital that they were in.
What I'm saying, this ain't the place Dave Chappelle worked at in Half Baked.
I'm saying
This is like they don't have access to bricks of weed. You know what I'm saying?
True.
As doctors and nurses, they got access to all that other shit.
they do have access to that. But people who do other shit smoke weed too.
Of course they smoke weed. But if you telling me they failed a drug test for weed, opiates, heroin, all this other stuff, then this is a different conversation. But if we just talking about weed, I'm just seeing how the courts is handling it now. I'm seeing how the schools is handling it. You know what I'm saying? When kids, when they know kids are smoking, it's just changing.
The kids is different. If a teacher got found out that they were smoking weed, would they fire the teacher? Teachers have been fired for that before.
They don't drug test teachers. The only way they would find out is if it was a report that they was doing it. They would ask them, and it'll be just like Atlanta when she asked Zazie Beetz' character, what's her name in the show?
Van.
When she asked Van, "Do you smoke weed?" The lady said, "Well, we don't really give a damn if y'all smoke weed, but you have an admission of smoking it, so you're fired." You know what I'm saying? Like it's like that kind of situation because they don't have a system in place by which you can be fired because they don't drug screen. Then they can't fire you because of it.
Again, it just boggles my mind that people that have a job that impacts our children don't get drug tested, but the nigga making my burger, the nigga cooking my food, like that doesn't make any sense. Why are you drug testing them? If you're not gonna drug test these people that actually have an impact on society,
listen,
why are you drug testing Burger King workers?
Tests are for leverage. We have seen no bigger instance of that than trying to drug test welfare recipients for the funds that they're going to receive. We have seen no bigger instance of it than that. It's just about how to continue to subjugate groups of people that you want to isolate out because of that.
Well, I wasn't against the drugs. Only because where you get the money to buy drugs from? Even if it's weed.
But see, you thinking like the white people that started the thing. Let me tell you what the results showed. There was no state that started that testing that tested higher than 8% of people that was on drugs.
Okay.
None of them, which means that the state spent more money testing people who passed their drug test than they would have just paid out if they paid. So it cost them more to test people because it was based on the faulty premise that if you get government assistance, you must be doing drugs.
No, that's not. So the way that I was looking at it was not if you giving government assistance, you must be using drugs, as opposed to if you're using drugs, maybe you shouldn't be getting government assistance.
Well, no, because that would indicate that what was important to the government was that we want to stop drug use in the community. But these systems were trying to pull back money from the community for this. But it
didn't work, obviously, because everybody wasn't. But okay, so their what they wanted didn't work. But what I would have wanted to see from that did. The people who are doing drugs but receiving government assistance don't need to be receiving government assistance. That would have been my goal in doing that. It would never have been to exclude or assume that everybody receiving government assistance is doing drugs, because they're not. But the ones that are,
then what somebody like you would have done first is you would have researched the prevalence of substance use in recipients to determine how many of those recipients are actually using substances before you spent state money to test people assuming that they were already using those substances because they want government funding. That's the difference between what you saying versus what these governments did. And that's why I'm saying that is a prime example of how they were using substances as leverage to try to get money back, not to actually figure out who is actually using drugs. Because if that was the case, they could have did the research first and then guaranteed they was gonna get money back. But that white American way of thinking is, if you broke and if you getting government assistance, you must be on drugs. But the thing that they don't really take into account is that a lot of people who are on government assistance have jobs. A lot of people who are on government assistance have jobs that drug test. They just don't pay enough for you to not be on government assistance and be able to maintain your lifestyle out here. So I'm just creating a parallel for that in the terms of drug tests are used for that out here. Drug tests are used for that with the government. Drug tests are not used to really figure out who is using drugs and who is conscious. Because if that was the case, then they would be doing it with doctors. They would be doing it with nurses. They would be doing it with teachers. They would be doing it with everybody. They're not doing it with any of those positions.
They absolutely need to.
Did you know Calera Elementary? You heard anything about that? Turns out that there's a teacher and a foster care advocate who had foster children just got arrested for having child porn. And this is, those of you listening, this is a county that I work in. And so, like, this is really shaking up some of my foster kids and foster parents.
Well, yeah.
Because the foster kids are seeing this foster parent who they have foster parents that they trust and has built trust with them. But this foster parent, he was doing stuff that he shouldn't have been doing. And I'm like, oh my God. Like, that's what they need to be trying to figure out. With these parents. Like, you can smoke weed if you want to, but do not have child porn.
I think all of those positions need to be drug tested. I would not be opposed to having drug tests doing what I do. I wouldn't be upset. I wouldn't be like, I should be able to smoke weed and it shouldn't fucking matter. I wouldn't be upset about it.
I wouldn't either. But
I think that the positions where you have an impact on people's lives, whether it's through being a doctor, being a therapist, being a teacher, should be drug tested.
I wouldn't have a problem with it either, but that is also akin to my situation with the NFL. I don't have a stake in the race. I don't smoke or drink, so
I do drink, but I still wouldn't give a fuck. Because again, I've had a hangover. Trying to operate when you have a hangover is extremely difficult. Like, you just want to sleep until it goes away. Huh?
You drink too much.
Yeah.
Well, I would assume that somebody who did it responsibly would not drink too much and would not have a hangover the next day and would be able to function properly.
Yeah. Right? But those people, they can test for alcohol, but I think it's the same as like the amount. Like, if you got pulled over, you can drink responsibly and get pulled over as long as you're not above 0.07. It's the same thing. So it's not that you wouldn't be able to drink. You just wouldn't be able to drink in excess, drinking daily in excess. Drink, but just don't drink in excess. I haven't had a hangover since.
And that's all I'm saying. Like, the level of responsibility that comes along with doing those things when you are in a position of importance. The question should be, can you do this thing over here and it not at all intersect with this thing over here? If you are a person that can achieve that, then I don't have no problem with it.
Well, what happens to the people who can't? You're going to assume everybody can by not drug testing people.
Exist anyway. The people that can't exist anyway.
But I'm saying you can exist, but you shouldn't be allowed to still do what you do. By not drug testing anybody, you're assuming that everybody's going to be responsible and everybody's going to do what they're supposed to do. And we know that that's not the case.
Well, you looking at drug testing to be a means to a different end than what people would use drug testing for. So they don't do it. That's not how they looking at it.
But I'm saying they should, is what my whole point has been through this whole conversation. That they should be doing that. Like, I would like for them to do that. That would be a good idea, is what I'm saying, for them to exclude the people who are not able to function to do that.
But in order to determine that, this is my thing. In order to determine that, there would have to be a measure of knowing that they are impaired with what they're doing. You can't test people for something that but they
already do, though. That's what I'm saying. Like, the government drug tests their employees. They do
for specific jobs.
Okay, but what I'm saying is they don't drug test if you are at work high. They drug test you in general because you're not supposed to be doing the substance at all. Like, you acting like this doesn't happen ever. The government does that for certain jobs. They drug test people. It's not based on whether or not you were high at work. They drug test you based off of whether or not you're doing illegal substances, period, and you get fired behind that shit.
It's important to that industry.
Doctors and teachers is important to those industries too.
Well, if it was like me and you can clearly sit here and say it's important, I would assume that if it's that important to that industry, then the people that monitor that industry would say that it's that important to this industry, and we do it. Otherwise, what reasons are they not doing it for?
You just said that you feel like drug tests are used specifically to exclude people, so they don't need to do that in somebody that's as high up as a doctor. So maybe that's why. It's not because it's not needed. It's because you just said that they use it to exclude folks. But that doesn't mean that it isn't needed. If government officials in certain positions can be drug tested and fired behind them so being a government official, it's not going to be like trying to exclude people from Burger King. If they can get fired behind that shit, I don't see why it's unreasonable for other industries to do that as well.
I think
because it's never about whether or not it's impacting your job. It's illegal substances. You're not supposed to be doing the shit. Period.
First off, it's just really expensive to drug test. And if an organization is going to drug test people, then it's going to cost them all the money to do so. So teachers ain't going to do it because schools already ain't got no money. So they can't spend, $50,000 to $100,000 a year just drug testing teachers on the premise that they may be doing stuff they may not. That's the same situation with the state thing. It's just even if it's 5% of people testing, we can't spend $100,000 a year with 95% of no results and 5% of results. You know what I'm saying? You have to believe that most of the people in your system doing that shit to invest in it. And when you have a government job, the government jobs won't take a chance. When you have manufacturing jobs, life or death is dependent upon that. This is why
being a doctor or a nurse, if you have an addiction problem, is great, because you can do that shit and get away with it because they're not gonna drug test you. That's like the best job. It's like a pedophile working at a school. That's what you need to do. Anybody with an addiction who wants to have access and be able to do it, go be a nurse or a doctor and you good to go, long as you are able to still function.
I mean, for this dialogue, I need to know the statistics of it to know whether my opinion would change of this or not. You said that there are higher instances of doctors, or they have the highest likeliness, but when you talk about doctors as a whole profession and you talk about other professions, then yes, you're going to see that distinction. But how many doctors and nurses in one system are addicted to substances?
How do we know they don't get drug tested? How would we know?
Well, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. I would need stats. I need stats to say what you saying is legit. If half of the doctors and nurses in the system, once they got drug tests like that, I'd be like, well, they definitely need to be drug tested.
But I feel like...
But I mean,
you're assuming that everybody isn't. That's your assumption, is that because you don't have proof that they aren't, that it's not happening. But my thing is, it makes more sense for it to be a fairly high amount because they have the ability to do so and not be held accountable for it. They don't get drug tested. They don't have to worry about that. So for me, it makes more sense that it would be a high number, because why wouldn't it be? You don't have to worry about it. You get the job, they never drug test you. It's never a problem unless they see drugs missing from the pharmacy or something. But outside of that shit, why wouldn't the ratio be higher in a place where the access is higher?
I'm saying it would,
and the accountability is higher.
It would definitely be higher, but for that statistic to exist, it has to be comparing it to other groups that are not in that group. That's what would determine that their access and that their addiction will be at a higher rate than those other professions.
We'll never know because they're not going to drug test them. So
where do you think the statistics come from?
What statistics?
Like, where do this, like, what research did they do as it pertains to doctors to get that number?
Probably. I mean, there have been instances of doctors getting fired for being high.
So it would have to be the doctors that got fired for substances, the nurses that got fired for substances, versus other industries in which people got fired for substance related abuses. Since they
but can you
about
compare them to other industries when the access is different? Is that a fair comparison? Like in other places where you don't have, you can walk down the hall in a hospital and get your drugs, as opposed to working somewhere else and having to have like a coke man you don't have to do that. It's there in the hospital.
Well, that makes that study unreliable then, because that means that they're basing the results they got off of the assumption that because you have higher access that you must be addicted at a higher rate.
That's what a hypothesis is an assumption based off of the information that you have.
Yeah, but that made it sound like it's definitely the case. What you read.
We'll never know because they're not going to drug test doctors and nurses because it's not important. So this is a moot conversation. We'll never know. The world may never know. Like how many licks does it take to get to the center of a Tootsie Pop? We'll never know. Until like a high ratio of doctors start fucking up, they're not going to care to check to do it.
And that's what I'm saying.
Because it costs too much. And
that's
so
what I'm saying.
It doesn't matter if people's lives are in danger.
What I'm saying is like it.
Or that the students may be impacted by a teacher that's.
But that's what I'm saying.
It costs too much. It's not cost efficient.
If it were an epidemic, it would be addressed.
Would it be?
If doctors was killing people every day and it turned out that once they was tested, they was high, yes. That shit would change. What we're not seeing, though, is an epidemic of substance abuse related deaths with doctors. We're not seeing an epidemic of nurses that are acting so erratic at work that, it's happening in bulk enough for the whole world to say, these motherfuckers addicted to drugs.
How would we know that? The hospital administration are the ones that we're going to take. It's not like that's going to be reported to the news. And so how would we know?
Because I think if you look at doctors,
I'm not saying if they're killing folks, but you saying erratic behavior, we wouldn't know
another
that.
thing is I think if you look at doctors and nurses, that they are one of the positions that have the most longevity amongst other positions out here. Like doctors are doctors for a long ass time, and nurses are nurses for a long ass time.
Not necessarily at the same hospital. They have a high turnover
I'm talking
rate.
about across the field.
Yeah,
that is a position where they stay in those positions a long time. Now, if you're talking about a doctor or a nurse having to transition to a new hospital because they did something, then we can look up the transfer rates. But I would assume that, under your argument, that if it was problematic enough, then their license would be removed from them. Not just able to go to a new hospital.
Not if it's not reported. If the hospital, their reaction is to just have that person leave and go somewhere else, and they don't report it to the board may look at this person like they just keep getting different opportunities and moving. The assumption wouldn't be that, they must be having problems and they're moving around. The same way if I got another job or you got another job somewhere, they're not going to assume that it was because of something bad. The board isn't, unless somebody reports to the board that there's a problem. And the hospitals probably aren't doing that. They just want to get rid of that person out of their hospital. So who cares if they go somewhere else? But again, it's obviously not an important enough issue for anybody they just don't get drug tested. So if I was an addict, being a nurse would be amazing. Would never be able to do doctors, too many years of school. But nursing, we could do that.
I feel like nurses would be ODing like a motherfucker out here.
Not necessarily. There's a lot of functioning addicts. You know that. There's tons of functioning addicts. So that happens. And they have to be careful about the amount that they take so that it's not noticed anyway. So how much they can do is kind of not monitor, but if you take a shit ton of pills from the pharmacy, they going to know that it's going to draw attention to you. So
I just don't think the measure of how you act can be based off of what could happen versus off of what does happen.
So if you could do coke and nothing bad happened, you should be able to just do coke? If you're able to function? If you're a functioning coke addict.
Well, I'm saying you can't take that one person who do coke and assume that because everybody else could be doing coke, that everybody else should be impacted in that system as well.
But again, you find that out through the drug test. And then the people who aren't doing coke will come back clean. I'm not assuming that everybody's doing drugs. I'm saying that they should be drug tested to find out. I'm not saying just assume all doctors and nurses do drugs. I'm saying drug test them to find the ones that do.
So if they did drug test everybody, and they only found one doctor every year who did that, would you think it would still justify drug testing everybody else to find that one doctor?
Random. I'm not saying so. Drug testing everybody at the same time would be a problem anyway, because people would get. I think random drug tests and drug screens where eventually everybody gets done, but not at the same time. Not even within the same year. You just said people stay in these jobs for a long time.
But
they
that's
stay
not
nurses.
even. It can't be random like that though.
Why?
Because you leave a possibility to always miss the person that you are potentially trying to oust by having the drug test.
Not necessarily. They can't. If you're somebody that just uses recreationally daily and you don't know when they're going to drug test you, it's not like you can prep for it. So how would you miss them? They're not going to know when their drug tests are coming around. That's why you do the random drug tests. Because if you do, we're going to drug test on this date, people can prep for that. So just do random drug tests. How are they going to prepare for when they don't know what's going to happen?
Random drug tests in a system don't mean that they test everybody on a random time. Random drug test means that they have to have a system by which they select certain people randomly to do the drug test.
The time is random too. They don't send out a notification say we're gonna do drug tests of some people on this day and not tell you who the people are. Because again, that still defeats the purpose. If I'm doing drugs and I know there's a possibility that on September the 7th I'm gonna be drug tested, I'm gonna prep for September the 7th just in case, because I don't know who it is. That defeats the purpose of doing a random drug test. If you have a date, even if you don't know it's you, if you got any sense, you're gonna prep for it like it's you, because it could be you.
But they might as well, if that's the case. So what you're saying is that there should be a system and by which everybody gets tested in that whole system, but it's just a random day of the year.
Mm-hmm. And like the people that do the drug test know, you know, they may have all the names and they set up dates that they know about and have certain people, and then come in and do the drug. Like obviously somebody would have to keep up with it, but I don't think the hospital should.
I don't think there would be any difference in that than just out of 365 days of the year, just doing it and nobody knowing when the day is going to be. They wouldn't be able to prep for that in. Just do it on the same day for everybody and nobody know what it's going to be January 31st, what it's going to be July 15th, or what it's going to be in November sometime.
But I think it would be impossible to drug test the whole hospital on the same, or all the staff. It's too many people. All of the nurses and doctors it's too many of them. So it would have to be on different days. You could not do a drug test of every single person that works at that hospital on the same day.
Over the course of that year, if they do that and one doctor a year comes up with that, I mean, does it justify spending however much it costs a year to do those drug tests and get those results?
Does it justify hiring security if you have an entire 365 days and nobody does anything, but you still had a security in place? You still had them in place in case some shit happens. Like, I don't understand.
But I'm saying that's why schools after a shooting get police officers to do circles around the school, but then after 2 months they don't do it no more.
But hospitals have security all the time, is what I'm saying. Back to the hospital. Hospitals have security on staff. At all times, there's a security guard there. Whether or not anything ever happens that requires the use of the security guard, they still pay that security guard for 365 days a year. Well, they have somebody staffed in that position in case some shit happens.
Security guards at hospitals ain't only there to deal with major outside threats. Security guards are there to deal with people who become belligerent because they on drugs, or for somebody who rip out all their shit and run down the hall. Like this is a hospital. It has a notorious system by which people act in ways that.
What if that only happens 10 times during the whole year, and you pay him an entire salary for the year? I'm saying any job you can do that with and say, is it cost effective if only one thing happens? So should they fire the security guard if it's not a lot of shit that goes on?
No, what I'm telling you is that I'm pretty sure we can go and look at logs of security and their effectiveness in hospitals and see that they have work every day.
But the only way that we would know this would be for them to actually drug test the hospital and see if only one doctor came out. You're assuming that that's going to be the case, that it will be just one doctor that would come up that would pop positive on the test. In order for us to compare this and find out whether or not it's beneficial, it would actually have to happen and see what the ratio is. The same way that with a security guard, you're saying that you could see how effective he was throughout the year. They would have to drug test people and see how many people in the hospital failed.
And that's what I'm saying. When they do that and not many fail,
you're assuming that not many. What happens if a lot of them fail? Then what? What happens if 40% of the hospital fail the drug test?
I feel like if you were in a Walmart and 40% of the employees was high as shit, I feel like you would recognize it. I feel like you'd be looking around like, she fucked up, he fucked up, he fucked up. Is with people who get high in bulk, it's only going to be a small percent of them that's going to be able to function properly. So you're talking about a whole system of potentially high people functioning appropriately.
I said if they are able to do coke and be a functioning coke addict, they should be able to still work in the hospital, long as they're able to function.
You think that 40% of an organization would be like that? I'm just saying, you think that
I don't
many
know.
people?
I don't know. I'm not going to assume though that it isn't. I feel like that is a thing that should be looked at. I don't think it should just be an assumption because I don't understand why this isn't something that's been done just to make sure. Because you do it with hospitals, you do it with security in other places. Same thing with courthouses have security guards, whether or not anything actually happens because it's potential for it to happen. So they hire those security guards to be in that courthouse.
That's different.
How?
Because it's a courthouse. Because there's judges that sent people to jail. There's lawyers that feel like that is a place where people consistently come in on a hostile manner and threaten people.
It's a hospital where they have access to opioids on a regular basis.
But access don't mean use. You're saying it does.
I'm saying find out what the use is. You're assuming that there is no use. I'm saying check to see, and then we can have this conversation. You are giving them the benefit of a doubt and assuming because there aren't any listed issues, or that there's not a bunch of reports and it's not on CNN that a bunch of doctors and nurses are doing this, that it must not be happening. I'm saying drug test them and find out. Because if you're going to drug test all of these other people, I just don't see why you would get a benefit of a doubt to somebody that is have patients or teaching our kids or whatever. My argument is test them to see. I would like to know what it is. I would like to know if it's a 1%, if it's one doctor.
I mean, that's not how we operate. I mean, you don't take Kingston to the doctor until his shit is weird. You don't just assume that because his shit been weird.
He gets a checkup every year.
But what I'm saying is,
just to make sure.
But what I'm saying is, when the behaviors that they have are problematic, that's when you start taking the action. And what I'm saying is, I believe that in a hospital,
you can't do preventative measures. You gotta wait. So you saying wait till some shit happen to do something about it instead of preventing shit from happening. I take Kingston and Remy every year to get a checkup to make sure that they had a shots, to make sure that shit, as much as I can prevent shit from going wrong with them. Usually when shit go wrong, it's some bullshit they did. It ain't because I'm not trying to keep them healthy. Preventative measures are important, is what I'm saying.
Well, in a system like that, the preventative measure is hiring somebody that you have determined is appropriate for your system and may not have those things.
That has the credentials and was able to talk and be charismatic, but you don't drug test them. Even in the beginning, when they get the job, they don't get drug tested. So they were able to, I mean, being charismatic and being able to finish med school don't mean that you're not going to be somebody that ends up with a drug problem. And so just because you can talk to the people and get the job doesn't mean anything. That's all I'm saying. There's no preventative measures at all. You just hire people who are able to talk a good game. Drug addicts are really charismatic sometimes, you know. They have to be. Most of the time to get what it is that they need. So I would just like to know what the percentage is, and because they don't drug test them, I'm sure that the information doesn't exist because it's not looked into, because it's one of those situations where we're gonna wait till some shit pop off.
Well, I'm pretty sure we're gonna be able to find a hospital somewhere in the country that drug tests people, because see, now I got to do research about it, because like my position is, I feel like
if it's expensive to drug test, might not.
It would be hard for a bulk of a hospital to be at work high as hell and nobody know it, and for them to do that every day because they have access to it. I just don't think that is likely.
And
I
it would
just don't
be
think it's likely.
unusual for them to be functioning and still doing the drug. When I was in grad school and I had to go, I was in, I think it was diagnosis. I think it was my diagnosis class. He made us go to an NA, an AA, and I think I went to a GA meeting. And when I went to the NA meeting, the guy that was speaking used to be he wasn't a CEO, but he was high up in a company making tons of money. They all did coke. All of them did coke. And he started doing coke after he got this job because all of the higher up did coke. The issue became that he was not able to do coke and function. So he got out of control with his shit and started doing coke all the time and using all the money he had to buy coke. Eventually he got fired, lost his kids and his wife and lost everything before he got clean. But he started doing drugs because the CEOs of this company that he worked for, and he got high enough up that they were inviting him to their little weekend get-togethers where they all did coke. And but he couldn't. They were able to function. They were functioning coke addicts. He was not able to do that. I guess he had a more addictive personality maybe than they had, but he started doing the shit all the time. And eventually it just became too much and he lost everything. And his wife didn't leave him. She left, they got separated. She never divorced him, and they were still together after he got clean. But he was introduced to the drug, and that was in Montgomery, Alabama. So I mean, it's not like whatever company he was working for, it wasn't no, it's Montgomery. So I mean, like, what the fuck could it have been? I don't know. He didn't say what company it was, but it couldn't have been nothing too big because it's Montgomery, Alabama. So I'm just saying that shit, like, there are instances where people function and do drugs. It doesn't make it okay that they're doing the drugs just because they're able to still function.
I'm not saying it's okay that they do I'm not saying it's okay that they're able to function.
I just know that there are instances where that happens. So like, you keep saying if people was high as fuck, yeah, but there are people that are able to function and do drugs. There are those people. He wasn't one of them, but he worked with people that were able to. He came in and, you know, he just, and he didn't, you know, obviously he's not gonna snitch them out and be like, well, they introduced me to the drugs, but he ended up getting fired. They had to fire him and let him go because he was coming in high as fuck. He couldn't maintain. And I think that they had kind of limited to their getaways when they were doing it, or maybe they were doing, I don't know, but he started doing it all the time and lost everything. And it was sad listening to him talk about, like, he had spent his kids. They had saved up money for all the kids to go to college where the kids won't have to pay for college. He spent all that damn money. And he said he was in a hotel on a coke binge when he finally decided that he needed to get some help, and he went to rehab and but he was old, like gray beard, like 58 maybe, somewhere in there. He was an older man, white man. He was white, of course, because black people and hanging out with CEOs is not usually what happens. So he was white. But yeah, so like that, after seeing him, you've seen like the Wolf of Wall Street. Obviously that was exaggerated a lot, but there are a lot of companies that have like board members and they get together and do all of this fuck shit. Like that happens, and they're still able to run their company, have multi-million-dollar companies, and are able to still run them. So everybody that does drug ain't gonna be, you know, fucking up all the time.
I don't think that they shouldn't be drug tested.
This whole conversation is happening because that's what I thought he did.
I don't think that they should be drug tested because we assume that because they have access that they must be doing drugs. I don't think that is why they should be drug tested.
Why should they be drug tested?
GP, general purpose, because the organization want to know who doing substances in their system or not. I don't think that because we read research that, oh, doctors and nurses have a higher possibility of getting addicted because they have access to drugs. I'm not willing to say that must mean they're using drugs because they got that access. that it goes back to that responsibility question.
But again,
it's a position where a lot is on the line for them people who fuck up. That don't mean they won't fuck up, but there are also a lot of systems in those places that hold people accountable for when substances and drugs and stuff come up missing. And they have a system that's built around not helping perpetuate those things that happen. So I can't look at it and say you got to drug test them because they have access. You got to drug test them because your system is having a lot of deaths, a lot of thieving, a lot of a whole bunch of other stuff. And for GP of finding out where these issues might be coming from, that's when you drug test because of a system reason.
Have you ever seen American Gangster? Was it American Gangster? Where maybe it was New Jack City. One of them, they had the people who were gathering the drugs. The women was butt ass naked because they ain't want them leaving with nothing. So to secure their drugs and make sure they shit was good, they assumed everybody that came in there potentially could take some shit out. So to combat that, everybody had to come in naked. If you was gonna work there and bag the drugs, you had to be naked just to make sure. Everybody everybody isn't gonna come in here stealing drugs, but some of y'all might. So to combat that and keep that from happening, they made you come in naked. I wouldn't have took the job when I had to be naked, right? I wouldn't have did it. But there were bitches who was like, alright, and they was in their butt ass naked, bagging pills. I just feel like, I don't know that it's wrong to drug test them to make sure that they're not abusing the access that they have. Because it's not saying everybody is going to, but the possibility exists. And it exists more for somebody that works in a hospital than it does for some dude working in Burger King or hell, even me working where I work. Well, no, I guess that ain't true. I could get some from my clients.
Oh, a part of me feels like that the way the system exists is from probably a history of problems in which, what you saying.
That's why they monitor the medicine. That's what I'm saying. That's why they monitor it so
maybe
much.
Probably back in the day, it was a big ass situation where everybody was high and doing their own thing. And I feel like over time they changed some stuff. And probably for a period of time they was drug testing doctors. And then they got their system together because the rate of failing drug tests became so low that the system had taken over because they couldn't get access to those things. And so I feel like at this point of the evolution of a system like that, I feel like the people in charge, they have some political and business related reasons for why they don't do it. But I feel like because they also believe that it'll be a bigger waste of money than it will be gained with what they find out. You know what I'm saying? And but because we with the police system, we seeing in bulk, they fucking up. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying?
And still ain't shit being done. But I feel like it would be easy to see how fucked up the system is if it was that fucked up. Now, the hospital system is fucked up on a lot of other ends when you got to pay $500 for an aspirin. Mm-hmm. It's fucked up in a lot of other places. But I think that might be one area where they might have it together. But I'm going to do some research to find out. We'll see.
But
I also watch Murder and Mayhem, so I've seen nurses kill their husbands with shit they got from work.
But either way, we got to end this because we had 2 hours and 21 minutes.
God damn.
Yeah, we've been this dialogue been really, really long. I was gonna talk about I'll talk about some of this next week. Amara La Negra talking about women should keep a man's home spotless.
I saw that shit.
Stefan
and
Clark.
then she got on the little bit ass dress with some fucking 409 clean the shower. Don't nobody clean no damn shower like that. But I'll talk about it next week.
But we'll talk about some stuff next week. Anyway, you got anything else on your mind?
I do not.
All right. Well, until we come to the next conversation.
We out.
Holla.